Welcome to Rob and Tony's Cinematic Adventure. I'm Rob Wilson.
And I am Tony the Quano.
So, Tony, last week we talked about Superman 2, the Donner Cut.
Donner Cut. Yes, we did.
Let's talk about some more Superman. I'm not done talking about Superman yet. I love me some Superman.
Yes, you do. I'm aware of this.
There just happens to be a brand new Superman movie that just came out that is still in theaters right now. So those of you listening, if you haven't seen it yet, you can go and watch it in the theater.
I mean, as we record this, it's like been pretty much 1 week.
Yeah. And I have a feeling that it's going to be in the theater for a little while longer.
I think so, too.
I don't think it's going to be one of those like 2 or 3 week movies before they pull it. I think it'll be in there for a little bit. So you still have some time to see it if you haven't seen it yet.
I get windows are shorter now, but still, I think it'll be out for a little while.
Yeah.
And it should, because it's a movie that you should want to watch on a big screen.
Yes, it's definitely deserving of the big screen.
It is a summer movie.
Yes, it is. And it has already turned out to be a summer blockbuster. So it is very fitting for this summer blockbuster series. But yes, that once again is Superman.
Superman. Just Superman.
Yep, just Superman. Originally, it was going to be called Superman Legacy, but they changed it to just Superman, which I think is good because Superman Legacy makes it seem like, there was a lot going on before it, that it's, carrying on the legacy, which it is carrying on the legacy, but it's not the same storyline as the Christopher Reeve.
It's not.
Superman movies or the Henry Cavill Superman. Yeah, it's its own thing. So I think the name change was very appropriate.
Which I understand, like maybe originally when you think about that, because what do you think of the different theatrical versions of the character, right? And the main one most people still think of is Christopher Reeve, and you just kind of think of Superman and Superman 2.
Yeah.
Even though technically the first one is Superman, the movie.
Yes, the first one is Superman, the movie. And the second one is Superman 2, then you have Superman 3, and Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
I could see how the studios would think like, okay, well, we need to make this distinctive, so let's give it the colon, and then...
Yeah.
No,
but
keep it clean. We kind of talked about last week.
Yeah, but James Gunn has made it known that he hates titles like that have, the hero's name and then colon and then some subtitle.
And this is different than, say, when Bryan Singer did Superman Returns, which was technically still within the Donner
in the Donnerverse. Yeah,
so
it was supposed to be the same Superman.
Made sense.
It's supposed to be the same Superman as the Christopher Reeve Superman.
And then you had Man of Steel. And again, I could see from a studio, at least from the company standpoint, producer standpoint, thinking, okay, it needs to have its own next thing. So it was just a Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
But now, you know what? We're kind of trying to reinvigorate things. So just go back to Superman. Let's call it Superman.
Go back to Superman.
Because that's what it's about. It's about Superman.
Yes. Now, how did you feel about it, Tony?
I enjoyed it. I would love to see it again because, I think it's good to let things percolate and watch it again to see everything, kind of from another perspective. And, you gotta let things kind of percolate. But I thought it was a very enjoyable summer movie. I was not a fan of Man of Steel. I like this. I did like Superman Returns.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought this was a nice, fresh perspective on the character, which I think is good. As we talked about, Superman Returns was in the Donnerverse. This is not. It gets to be its own thing, and you're kind of not recreating the character, but you're kind of reintroducing the character, breathing new life into the character. I like that it leaned heavily, kind of very into kind of like the animated series and some of the comics. In particular, it's got a lot of like Grant Morrison vibes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does.
It's definitely a James Gunn movie. I mean, it's got James Gunn stamp all over it as well. So yeah, I thought it was very good. I enjoyed it. Again, it's a good summer movie. Is it better than Superman, the movie, and Superman 2 or Donner Cut? I don't think I would put it up to those, at least after the first watch, but I enjoyed it.
So I saw this movie the first night that it was out, so Thursday night. And, I'd been reading things about it, that I think it was like that day or the day before, I just saw a headline or something on an article that, it had surpassed the hype and all this. And this movie had a lot of hype behind it. So, I mean, since it was first announced, I was excited to see it because I love Superman. And so I saw it, and I was hoping that the article was actually accurate and that it wasn't going to be overstuffed and not good. But I've enjoyed just about everything that I've seen from James Gunn. So I knew it had that going for it. And so I saw it, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved
it's a good movie.
It was it was great. It was James Gunn through and through, but you also have, like you said, very heavy Grant Morrison vibes like throughout the movie. You get, some of the best stuff from the comics and from the animated series and all that stuff all mixed in. It's definitely part of a shared universe that they're putting together, part of the DC.
Yes. I think for the most part that those parts work for me. I could see how some would think maybe that's unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
I can get that criticism.
Yeah.
But I mean, Nathan Fillion was hilarious.
Yeah, he was great. Nathan Fillion's always great. But yeah, so like you, I did not care for Man of Steel at all. I hated that movie. I think I may have mentioned that once or twice on this podcast before, but if I haven't, I hated Man of Steel. It had nothing to do with Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill was a great Superman.
Henry Cavill is very good. Yes.
It was, yeah. My problems with Man of Steel were more, the direction and, how much everything was like Zack Snyder-fied.
To the nth degree.
Yeah. I mean, that's not to say like that I don't enjoy some of Zack Snyder's stuff. He's done some very good stuff.
We like some of his, especially his early stuff. We're fans of his Dawn of the Dead remake.
Yes, I love his Dawn of the Dead remake. And 300 also. That was a great movie when it's not quite as rewatchable as other movies, but it's still, it's a solid movie.
His aesthetic really works well for 300.
Yeah. His superhero side of stuff, I was never really a fan of at all. So I was, of course, going into this with a grain of salt because of that, because of Man of Steel. But I knew James Gunn was behind it, and I've loved everything he's done with Marvel. And, everything that he's worked on with Marvel, all 3 Guardians movies. Well, 4 technically because of the holiday special.
Yes.
And then, some of his other stuff that he's done just on his own, some of his independent stuff from back in the day.
I think for the direction they took with Superman here, kind of especially leaning more into some of the cosmos stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gunn's a very good choice to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I also
enjoyed... Wrong person uses that.
Yeah. I mean, I also enjoyed Superman Returns. We saw it together.
We did.
We saw Superman Returns together opening night.
Fredericksburg. We drove to Fredericksburg to watch that opening night.
Yes, we did. And we wore Superman capes and Superman shirts and everything. Well, I wore a Superman cape. You wore a red towel.
I wore a towel.
I don't know. Maybe we'll post that picture on our social media.
Yes.
But anyway. So, but yeah, I enjoyed Superman Returns. In my opinion, there has not been a bad Superman actor so far.
I agree with that too.
Everybody has their merits. My favorite is and always will be Christopher Reeve.
It's still good. It's still Reeve.
Christopher Reeve is still the gold standard for Superman. I don't care what anybody says. There will never be a Superman who is a better Superman than Christopher Reeve.
He embodied the character. Well, not just Superman, he embodied also like Clark Kent. Just the entire spectrum.
Yes.
Embodied it.
Yes. That said, David Corenswet was an excellent Superman.
He is an excellent Superman.
He is an excellent Superman.
He gets less screen time as Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Clark Kent disappears for most
Clark
of the
Kent
movie.
Clark Kent is in like 2 or 3 scenes. And then it's all Superman. Maybe he's like in one scene. It's really just the one scene of the Daily Planet, isn't it?
Daily Planet, and then
the apartment. But still, that's kind of half Clark, half Superman there.
Into Superman wearing a Clark Kent suit.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah. But yeah. Anyway, so
no. I guess he does go back to the farm.
Yes, he does. But still, I mean, technically, I guess that would be Clark Kent because he was raised as Clark Kent. But yeah, I don't know. You're bumbling, trying to hide the fact that he's Superman. Clark Kent only shows up in one scene.
Well, that's the thing. Like there, he's around his parents, and they know his secret.
Yeah. So he only wears the glasses in one scene. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So it's harder to judge that aspect of him.
Yes.
He's only
he's only wearing the Clark Kent disguise in one scene. But anyway, so David Corenswet, fantastic Superman. Brandon Routh, fantastic Superman. I was really a big fan of his Superman.
I agree.
Henry Cavill was a great Superman too. He was a fantastic. He had the look, he had the, everything. And then of course Christopher Reeve. And, before him, George Reeves. And, all of the others who have played Superman. You got Tom Welling.
Tom Welling, Dean Cain.
Mm-hmm.
All fine.
Yeah. Yeah, there has not been a bad Superman actor yet. And I'm really happy about that because Superman is one of my favorite superheroes. But anyway, back to this movie. I loved it. I loved how they expanded the universe without taking it too far, without, making it too overstuffed, you know.
Right. So they don't overstuff it. You know, I could see some people saying maybe they had too many characters. Fine. You know, and they still kept a lean runtime on it, right?
Yeah.
A little over 2 hours, I think is fine. And yeah, and it's kind of funny. Like, they expanded pretty effortlessly because, you know, we'll get to it, you know, in terms of they don't need to spend they don't worry about spending time really on Superman's origin.
Because, I mean, at this point, Superman's origin has been done to death. Everybody knows Superman's origin, just like everybody knows Batman's origin.
We'll get to kind of how they establish all that. But for a lot of other moviegoers, like some of the other characters from the universe that they put into it, you may not be familiar with them.
Yeah.
But they integrate them pretty seamlessly.
Yes, they do. They do a very good job of explaining who they are without huge exposition dumps.
And obviously, you know, then you have, you know, we haven't mentioned Lois yet.
Rachel Brosnahan. Yeah. She was a great Lois.
Rachel Brosnahan, who, you know, most people would know from Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. She's also in House of Cards.
Yes.
Right? No, House of Cards was first before she got the lead role, Mrs. Maisel. But she's terrific as Lois.
Oh, yeah.
She's the best Lois since Margot Kidder. No offense to Kate Bosworth and Amy Adams, who I just think both of them were miscast.
The one that I would put, I think both of them were miscast. But yeah, Rachel Brosnahan, I think is the best movie Lois since Margot Kidder. I would say Erica Durance gives her a run for her money, but she also had several seasons of a TV show to build the character.
Exactly. You know, I think Kate Bosworth was miscast because they almost made her too young for where the character should have been at that point. You know, I don't want to really dwell too much on that. But yeah, she was very good. She has such great chemistry.
Yeah,
with Cornsat, like
I mean,
like if I had, my biggest complaint in the movie might be is that I wish I would have had a bit more time with just the two of them.
Yeah, me too. I felt like Lois didn't have as much screen time as she probably should have in this movie. One of my biggest critiques of the movie, I think, would be Lois didn't have enough to do. You know, Rachel Brosnahan played it fantastically. You know, did what Lois was doing, and she did have a good amount to do in the movie. But in the grand scheme of things, you know,
there's some scenes where she's just kind of standing around.
Yeah.
A lot of other things to kind of happen.
Yeah, she's kind of running around collecting other people and stuff like that instead of, you know, being able to be that Lois that we've come to know that is a go-getter and, you know, she gets stuff done herself.
There's a few scenes where she just has time with Clark, which are fantastic. And then towards the end of the movie, as you pick up towards the climax, she's back to that again, like that, where she's just making things happen.
Yeah.
And like she's at the center again. But through the midsection of the movie, she does kind of fall to the side a little bit. Which, okay. But yeah, she's terrific in it as well.
Yeah.
And you know,
we can't talk about a Superman movie without talking about Lex.
Lex
Luthor. Nicholas Hoult was amazing as Lex. He was a fantastic Lex Luthor.
He was.
And
how I saw him reminded me a lot of probably kind of the end result of where Michael Rosenbaum would end up.
I was going to say the same thing. Yes, absolutely. And so here's a little nugget for you, a little nugget of knowledge. So Nicholas Hoult auditioned for Superman. He auditioned for the role of Superman, but he was passed over for David Corenswet. And so James Gunn went to Nicholas Hoult. You know, he thought he did a great audition, all that stuff, and he offered him the role of Lex. He told him, I don't want Lex, I want Superman. And James Gunn told Nicholas Hoult, that's why you would make a great Lex. So he's like, use that.
And it works perfectly.
Yes.
And which, hey, like still, you get to be one of the most iconic superhero villains. That's
yeah. He hit it out of the park.
He did
on that one. I mean, his Lex is right up there with Gene Hackman and Michael Rosenbaum.
And just like Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor, he's obsessed with real estate.
Yes, I was going to say the same thing. I didn't want to get too far into spoiler territory at this section of the episode, but yes, he's obsessed with real estate.
What's up with our villains lately in real? Like Jason Isaac is also obsessed with real estate.
Yep.
No, but yeah, he nailed the role. He embodied it, and yeah, he just.
I love his back and forth with Cornswet.
Yes.
You know, in there, like their chemistry was fantastic.
Oh yes, absolutely. And then you have the whole host of this other supporting characters that
nailed it.
They fill out and they do it well.
Yeah.
You know, we briefly mentioned Nathan Fillion, he's hilarious in this. He might have he almost stole the show.
Yeah, he really did. He really did. And without getting too spoilery on like who he's playing and all that stuff, even though I'm sure most people who are listening to this know who he plays. But anyway, we're not to that part yet of the episode. So another little funny thing about him, like, his haircut is just ridiculous. All right.
It's ridiculous. It's perfect.
Yes, it's perfect, but it's ridiculous. And I was reading an article the other day. I was reading an interview that I forget who it was, but they were talking to James Gunn and commenting on his friendship with Nathan Fillion. And Gunn's like, yeah, we've been good friends for years, And the interviewer's like, you put him in a lot of your movies, and a lot of times, like especially like in the Guardians movies, he's Guardians 1, he's like this big alien in the prison, and Guardians 3, he's in this like orange Michelin Man looking suit, this just ridiculous looking suit, and then now you have him with just like the worst hairstyle of like in movies. James Gunn's response to that was something along the lines of, Nathan and I have been good friends for years and years. I've had him in everything that I've made, every movie that I've made, which I can count at least a couple of them that Nathan Fillion hasn't been in. But anyway, so most of his movies, but still, he's like, I've had him in every movie that I made. And there are two questions that I ask myself before I make any movie. One, what's the story? Is it a good story, that's going to make a good movie? And two, how can I humiliate my good friend Nathan Fillion?
That's funny. He's down for it. He doesn't, know.
Yep.
And we'll get to it, but he's a terrific choice for this character.
Yes.
So
yes, he is.
We'll get to his character eventually. So if you're not familiar who his character is yet.
And it's a character that he's wanted to play forever. Like, not necessarily this version of the character, but he's wanted to play...
Not this version.
The character, or one of this group of characters forever. And he finally got to.
Yes. And he'll probably get to again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anthony Carrigan, Edie Gathegi,
yeah.
Isabella Merced,
Alan Tudyk.
Alan Tudyk, right?
He's always great.
Wendell Pierce, who I always love as well. Hey, he doesn't really I don't think he really has a line, but we mentioned Michael Rosenbaum earlier. Mm-hmm. He has a brief cameo in this as well.
He has a brief cameo in this.
This is not his first Gunn movie either.
He was also in
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
Also not the first James Gunn movie.
Nope. And also Pom Klementieff. Again, not her first James Gunn movie. Michael Rooker, he's got a small part in this one, too.
Michael Rooker's in this.
He is another person who's in just about every James Gunn movie.
Frank Grillo, he's in this.
Yep.
And then, to round it out, can't forget Clark's parents.
Yeah.
Pruitt Taylor Vint and Neva Howe.
Yeah.
I thought were also very good. And I liked, we'll get to their characters when we talk more about the movie. I like that they went with character actors for them.
Yes.
More recently, they've been more famous actors, elder actors. So I like the more anonymous nature of the roles that they have for them. I thought that was again, they don't have a lot of screen time in this movie.
No, but it's important screen time that they have. It's very important screen time that they have. And you even have a small cameo from Will Reeve, Christopher Reeve's son.
That's right, you do.
But it's a great cast.
Oh, yes. Michael Ian Black has a small cameo.
Yes, he does.
As well.
Yes, he does. He's got a couple of scenes.
There's a lot of little cameos.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I want to see it again. I saw it with my oldest, and he really enjoyed it. He had a lot of questions about some of the characters and some of the backstory. And he has we recently watched the Donner Cut together. It's been about a year since he saw Superman in the movie. He's been watching a bunch of the animated series. So he has some pieces here and there. But he had a great time. He was laughing at it. And yeah, it was a great movie to watch with him. So
Yeah, like I said, I saw it opening night, like technically the night before official opening night. But yeah, the first night I was available to watch. And then I ended up watching again that Sunday during opening weekend, just because I wanted to.
I saw it 3 nights ago is when I saw it, Monday night.
So yeah, so I wanted to, after seeing it once, I wanted to watch it again before we recorded this episode. Just for the same reason I wanted to see Twisters twice before we recorded it, because that first viewing,
one of us watched
the first viewing, it kind of like. You kind of blow through it because it's new, it's fresh, it's you're trying to just keep up with it. And subsequent viewings, you can actually take a minute and pay attention to the finer details of it. So anytime that we're doing a new movie, I always try to see it at least twice before we record.
Yes.
if I
We've
can.
actually done a few movies that were kind of first time watches for some of us at different points
Mhm.
that are not brand new movies like this.
Yeah.
Even I like to try to do the same thing. I know when we did Fallen a few
Mhm.
months ago, first time watch, and I tried to watch it twice, or I got through most of it the second time. But it's just good to kind of reacquaint yourself
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah. Especially if it's a good movie.
Again, because like when it's the first time seeing it, you're just, especially when it's a beloved property like this, it's easy to just get kind of caught up in it.
Yeah.
It's a ride.
Yeah.
And then you need to kind of go back and remember all the stuff about it.
Yeah. And you can look at it with a much more critical eye the second time you see it.
Yes. Should also mention, even though the character is mostly computer generated, there was a dog actor stand-in.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was Jolene, not the cactor,
Yes.
the dog actor. But even though the concept of the dog was actually modeled off of James Gunn's own dog, Ozu.
Yep.
But use another dog to be the stand-in. And I don't think it's any secret that Crypto's in this movie.
No, I don't think so. That's been like the forefront of all the advertising for this movie. All the marketing has been crypto. So I don't think it's really a spoiler at this point to say that crypto's in this movie.
It would be a spoiler to say that General Zod is in this movie.
It would be a spoiler.
Sorry.
So, I mean, yeah, it would be an incorrect spoiler. Because, folks, General Zod's not in this movie. Or is he?
Keep listening.
So, anyway, I'm not going to say who they are right now, but I really love that they included some, I don't know if I want to say lesser known, but I'd say lesser represented characters
Yes.
in here in this movie. And I thought they were done very well. But James Gunn also just has a knack for that, though.
He does. Absolutely.
Yeah, so shall we get into it?
I think
so we
get
can
into
stop trying to cover up all these spoilers that we're both clearly trying to wanting to talk about.
Yes. Let's get on with the show.
Okay. So as always, spoiler alert, we are going to be talking about this entire movie, beginning, middle, and end. So if you have not seen it, then pause the podcast, go watch the movie, come back and listen. If you have seen it or you just don't mind being spoiled, then keep on listening. But you have been warned, and it's very important because this movie is still in the theater. So there's a chance that not everybody's gotten to see it yet. So you have been warned. We are going to be talking about everything in this movie.
Seen it, then coming back.
Yes.
But it's up to you.
It's up to you. If you want to listen to this whole episode to figure out if you want to go see it.
Hey, well, you know what? There's that. So
you can do that. So anyway, I didn't mention this during the opening section, during the intro section, because I mean it's a slight spoiler, I guess you could say. But I love what they did with the music.
Yes, I was just thinking about that. I'm glad you brought it up.
I love what they did with the music. How before we actually get into the actual movie, they took the John Williams score, which was triumphant. You might even say it was most triumphant. Please listen to our Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure episode. It was a long time ago. Yes, it was, but it was a great episode. But, so they took that and used it as a base for the score for this one. Like, there's some elements of the John Williams score in there, and then there's also just some new stuff that is just, it blends so well, and it creates a triumphant score.
It does. It really does.
And yeah, it's just a few days ago, I found myself, I had to do a lot of driving, so I found myself just listening to the score from this movie while I was driving. Yeah. It's like, this is some good music.
It is good music. Yeah, and it's used appropriately at the right spaces.
Yes.
James Gunn does a great job with music in his movies. So
yeah, and there are, of course, your typical James Gunn needle drops in here.
But anyway, I like where it opens though, because it's like we said, like they don't really go into the origin story, right?
No,
they give you some of it, a little bits that people would already know.
Yes, so
within where Superman is, I like how they're leading back into Superman being like this, not necessarily a myth, but this larger than life character. And so, I like how it just kind of talks about the world where like metahumans already exist.
So here we start out. Yeah, so before any of that shows up, though, we get that score starting up. We sort of hear the John Williams score initially before it transforms into the typical score for this movie. But yeah, when we get sort of that title shot, that is very reminiscent of the Donner movies.
Yes.
Just the way that Superman is written across the screen. With
we'll get to that more of that later. We talk about kind of the Donner versions of it. There's going to
Mm-hmm.
be the larger callback to it way back towards the end of
Yeah.
the movie.
Oh yeah.
Because the credits of this are going to be very different. This just throws you
Yeah.
pretty much straight in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So
This gives
it
you
basically it
kind of
shows
a
you
brief background.
yeah, it just shows you the snowy backdrop, right? Just this snowy tundra, and you get a couple of sentences pop up on the screen. Three
All
centuries
time
ago,
related. 300 years ago,
so
right?
yeah, 3 centuries ago,
centuries ago.
the first metahumans made themselves known, or the first metahumans appeared.
Right, first
on
appeared,
Earth.
right.
3 decades ago, Kal-El was sent. Baby Kal-El was sent to Earth from the dying planet Krypton.
Was adopted by a family,
And was
right?
adopted by a family in Kansas.
Kansas.
3 years ago, Superman made himself known.
Known to the public, right?
That baby made himself, now a grown man, made himself known to the public and took the name Superman, the most powerful metahuman of all time. And then 3 hours ago, Superman stopped a war between Boravia and Jarhanpur, causing an international, political nightmare.
Upheaval right? Nightmare, whatever you want to call it. Yes. A conundrum. It's a conundrum.
Oh, wait, no, it was 3 days ago. And then 3 days ago,
it's 3 hours ago.
Then 3 hours ago, a metahuman calling himself the Hammer of Boravia attacked Metropolis, blaming Superman for, all this stuff from him stopping the war. And then
there you go.
3 minutes ago, Superman lost his first battle.
Oh no, Superman lost.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like He-Man losing?
Maybe. That's a story for a different time. But anyway, so then, the words disappear. And we see this figure falling from the sky like a meteor. And just slams into the ground, into the snow. And we see that it's Superman. And he's all bloody. And he's beat up. He's
just lost.
Yeah. And so he's laying there. He can barely move. And he whistles.
Whistle. He's got a good whistle, right? He is, and he might have lost, but he at least still have a super whistle.
Yeah. So then we see the snow flying up like something is coming for him really fast. And we see it is a dog with a cape.
It's Crypto.
It's Crypto. And runs up there, acts like a typical dog.
I love this part. It's like he's like oblivious to the fact that his master it was not his master actually. It was discovered later. But yeah,
I actually love this aspect of Crypto because every other depiction of Crypto, whether it's in comics or TV or the animated movies that he's been in, stuff like that it always portrays Crypto as this very just mature, super dog, right? Acts like
he's
Superman.
Dog,
basically acts like Superman if he was a dog. But no, this one's a dog. It's a dog with superpowers.
No, it's a dog.
This is a dog with superpowers.
He's oblivious that Superman just lost.
He actually,
he's just going around, he's licking his face and
licking his face, jumping all over him. Superman's laying there broken, and this dog is just jumping all over him, trying to play.
In the middle of the Antarctic.
So Crypto in this movie reminds me a lot about my dog. It reminds me a lot of my dog Maggie. She acts almost exactly like Crypto does when she gets real excited. But anyway, so he finally, tells Crypto, take me home. And
he's not talking about his apartment in Metropolis.
Grabs his cape, brings it around, and reaches it out to Crypto, and Crypto takes his cape and then just drags him through the snow.
Yeah, just drags him.
He just runs and drags him through the snow until they get to.
And as they're approaching, all of a sudden, you see the Fortress of Solitude just emerging.
Yes,
from the ice shelf.
From the ice.
All right. And this is, like we said, I think we did say it's Antarctica.
We did not say it's Antarctica. Yeah, we didn't say that yet. But okay. We don't know that yet. But we haven't mentioned it yet. But yeah, it is Antarctica.
It's different than the Donner, where he's up north.
In the North Pole, this is the South Pole. So this takes after more of like All-Star Superman,
right?
Where it's Antarctica, where the fortress is. In fact, a lot of this movie takes after All-Star Superman.
Oh yeah, it's very heavily. I mean, it's not the same story.
No, it's not the same, but it's heavily inspired. It's heavily inspired by it. But yeah, so he, Crypto takes him inside, and he's greeted by the Superman robots.
All these robots.
And they all have numbers. They got the Superman shield on their chest with a number in it instead of the S. And, number 4 seems to be the leader of the pack.
Yes.
He's the head robot. And, they all come up, and there's a new robot that they made. 12.
I'll say there's a new one here too. Now, who made the new robot? The other robots? I
don't know.
We don't.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter.
There's certain aspects of this that they don't bother explaining because it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So Alan Tudyk voices 4, and then Michael Rooker, who we mentioned has a small cameo in this, he voices Superman robot number 1, and Pom Klementieff is number 5. And we have Grace Chan as the new one, number 12. And so they pick up Superman, and they're carrying him.
They're talking. They put him on this little
on this chair. It's basically it's kind of like a
healing him.
Yeah, kind of almost like a dentist chair.
Yeah, I think a dentist chair. I hesitate to say like a hospital type gurney.
Yeah,
it's more like the dentist type chair.
But while they're carrying him to it, to the chair, then 4 is introducing him to 12, the new robot that wasn't there last time he was there. And he asks him if he wants him to play his parents' message. And Superman's like, yes, please play it. And then 4 starts talking to the other robots. He's like, he finds it soothing. So let's see, how many robots has Alan Tudyk voiced now?
Well, he is quick. Like the go-to by this point. Yes, the first one I can think of is some iRobot.
Yeah, that's the first one I can think of too. Then he was K2SO in Rogue One. He's number 4, who actually, spoiler alert, gets a name later in the movie, but we're not going to say what that is yet. But yeah. And then he's done other like AI voices and stuff like that too in movies, not necessarily robots, but different voices and stuff.
He does the Ice Age voices. I forgot about those.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, so they start playing the message from his parents, and so this hologram shows up, and we find out right then that his parents are played by Bradley Cooper, playing Jor-El, and Angela Seraphian is Lara.
Yep. And the message is kind of broken. So the speaking,
the first half of the message comes in real clear,
Yep, but then it kind of just cuts off and it just kind of sputters like a
Yeah.
Like the tape is broken and it's just kind of
Yeah, because there was,
just
four
skips.
gives a little bit of explanation here. He says that it was damaged in transit from Krypton. The the recording was
There's a new robot here that might not know about all this,
yeah.
so he's explaining for the robot and for us.
Yes. So he's like, yeah, the message was there was interference in there, and the message was damaged, basically, and they haven't been able to repair it. And so basically the half that they hear that comes out through it is, Jor-El and Lara telling Kal-El that, they love him and they're going to send him to this, their planet's dying and they're going to send him to this planet Earth where, he'll be able to, do good and, provide for his people and, all this, right? All your typical,
yes,
stuff from same kind of thing that Marlon Brando told Christopher Reeve.
And again, we're introduced to several aspects here. Like again, we've got crypto, we got the fortress, we got all these robots, we got the message. We don't have the whole, Clark or Superman's backstory on Earth about how he discovered this, how that came about. We don't need it.
It's there. We don't need it. It's been told countless times in the past. So
yeah, if it's a little bit different this time, that's fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, and we'll get to why that's important later, I think. So, but they're talking, and it's like, okay, well, we need to get him into the yellow sun to heal him, right?
So they put him in this chair.
And they reposition the chair, and then the fortress just kind of opens, right? And then the sun is just
the sun. Yeah, the fortress opens, kind of like an observatory kind of thing.
Yes,
and they have all these different sizes of like magnifying glasses. They move around, they line them up and everything, and it just shoots a beam of yellow sunlight right at him. Right?
It's like he's being put under a magnifying glass as an ant.
Yes.
Right? He's not going to catch fire. It's just going to
magnifies the sunlight that's coming in at him to try to, expedite his healing. And so, you get him. He's screaming because, he can feel all his bones popping back into place and, all this. And, it's not like your typical, Superman healing from something, flying up and getting the sun rays and stuff like that and healing and just looking stronger. He's like in pain while he's healing because his body is putting itself back together.
I mean, like, if you think, if you ever, dislocated like a shoulder or a finger and like putting that back to the right place, it doesn't feel good.
No. But then it starts feeling much better after that initial pain. So,
yeah. And then they say, like, I think it says it's going to take a couple days for him to like fully.
Yeah. So once he feels strong enough himself, then he gets up and, he starts walking back toward the door, and Four is trying to stop him. He's like, sir, you're only at 87%. He's like, that's going to be enough. He's like, no, but you got beaten at 100%. So, Superman's not listening, and Krypto is sitting there trying to like bite his heels and trying to play. Being a dog. And so, Superman takes off and goes to fly back to Metropolis to defeat the Hammer of Baravia. And so he gets back to Metropolis, and the Hammer of Baravia is this juggernaut-looking guy.
Yes.
He's, he's got a big domed helmet, and
he's got a little mech suit also that helps him to fly.
Yeah.
Right? He's still causing shit in Metropolis.
Yeah. And so we find out pretty quick that Lex Luthor and his people at Luthor Corp are controlling it. You know,
Yep.
they're telling commands, like talking commands into a microphone, and then it's doing
Very
different moves.
reminiscent of like how you control like a video game or something like that. Like
Yeah.
using
And
this for this move, right?
what's interesting here
And
is before we get into the actual fight, so Luthor Corp, Lex's company, typically it's called LexCorp, but it has been confirmed that they went with the Luthor Corp name as a reference to Smallville. Because in Smallville, it's Luthor Corp. So there's little nods here and there to Smallville throughout this movie.
which I think is good.
I do too. I love Smallville. It was a great show.
Because as much as I kind of liked the Arrowverse, right? Smallville was definitely the afterthought towards that.
Yeah, Smallville was definitely, it was the precursor to like every superhero show we have now.
Yes.
It was it was the superhero show that made superhero shows cool again.
That's true. But I like how they designed the Luthor Corp building. Like, it's almost in some ways like, again, there's it's hard to escape. Again, because Gunn did the Guardian movies, right? It's hard to escape some of the influences of the MCU on this movie too.
Yes.
Especially like Iron Man.
Yeah.
like like the Luthor Corps building in a lot of ways reminds me like Stark Towers when they first met.
Yep. Yeah, I could see that.
And you get he had the mech suit, and it can be control and this and that. Like, yeah. It's hard to escape the parallels, but yeah, so the two of them are fighting.
And they're exchanging blows, and
I like the contrast though, right? So you have Lex, who's unhinged and obsessed. But then you have all of his lackeys and followers that are working with him up there in the control room. Yeah. And they're just having a good time.
And I love they're laughing, and I love how like a couple of the people in there, we have Miss Tessmacher and we have Otis.
Right. And like Miss Tessmacher, she's just trying to get selfies.
Yeah, she's trying to get selfies. They never actually say her last name, but they just call her Eve because that's her first name. But that's Miss Tessmacher's first name, and as far as the credits, she's credited as Eve Tessmacher.
Floor of this building, and there's this fight going on outside. She's just getting her selfies.
Sitting there getting selfies.
Setting them up. I won't say who she's setting them to.
Played by Sarah Sampaio, by the way. But yeah, so the Superman and the Hammer of Baravia are fighting. They're exchanging blows, but Superman is getting his ass kicked.
Yes,
he is getting the beat down, and it gets to the point where Superman flies away.
Well, so while this is happening too, someone else has followed.
Yes.
Superman, tracked him to where he landed.
Yes. One of which we find out, with Lex. And this person is known as the Engineer. So, yeah. So she saw, she saw him go into the fortress, and then she saw it.
Played by Maria Gabriella de Ferrari.
Yeah, so she saw it appear out of the ground, and then she saw it go back down into the ground after he left.
Right.
And so she's, reporting back to Lex. And
meanwhile, so Superman still is fighting the Hammer.
Yeah. So Lex tells her to come back to Luthor Corp. So she heads back there while Superman's still fighting the Hammer.
But like you said, like he flies away,
And so they're all like, "Oh, we won! Yay!" And so, Lex calls the Hammer of Bravia back, and he flies to the desert, and starts walking between these tents, and walks into this one tent that's at the end, and there's this big portal-looking thing there that activates, and you see sparks flying and all this. And he walks through, and then he's in this strange cave-like area.
It's a description.
Where there's another portal directly in front of him, and he walks through that, and all of a sudden he's walking right into the room where Lex and all of his minions are. But here's the interesting thing, though. When Lex tells him to come back, he doesn't call him Hammer of Bravia. He calls him Ultraman.
He calls him Ultraman.
Now, there is a bit of a little twist later in the movie that if you know anything about who Ultraman is, it's really not a twist at all. If you know who Ultraman is in the comics. But we'll get to that. I mean, they did change it slightly. They did change it slightly in here. They kind of combined a couple characters for Ultraman here, but
it's not hard to surmise. Like, the movie does lean heavily into your basic superhero type of tropes. Mm-hmm. It's not afraid to wear those.
Yeah.
Again, like even with Crypto, it's like Crypto is going to be used a lot in this movie, almost as a Deus Ex Machina.
Yes,
which is fine. It's very much a trope within comics.
Yeah, so
you roll with it.
Yeah. So Hammer, Ultraman, comes through the portal. He's in the command center with Lex and everybody else. And all of a sudden the suit opens up that he's in, and he steps out, and it's this black suit, very reminiscent of Black Noir in The Boys.
Yeah.
Like, I was getting heavy Black Noir vibes from this guy. Especially since he never speaks. Also. So he's just like this looming presence. But so Lex congratulates him, and they're all opening the champagne and all that stuff because they beat Superman. And so the Superman left, and then we have the Daily Planet. We get Clark Kent, running down the street trying to get into the planet.
Before we get to the Daily Planet, I almost forgot. There's the street food vendor.
Yes. Oh, yes. There's because Clark. Yeah, Superman gets knocked down into the ground. Like, he creates a crater when he hits the ground, and he's sort of shaky a little bit. And the street food vendor, his name is Malik. Yeah, Malik. He comes and he helps Superman up, and it's like, Superman, I'm your biggest fan. and Superman, I'm here to help you.
Superman has eaten his food before.
Yeah, he's given Superman food before because
like falafel.
He needed it. Because he needed it, and he needed some food, and so Malik gave it to him.
So,
but so he helps him up, and he's
scene too where he helps Superman and Lex. They get in on there and they get the facial recognition and ID who he is.
Yeah.
Right,
and that's important for later. But
yes,
so from there, Superman flies off. And so everybody's like, Superman's leaving. But so back to after Ultraman comes back, and we're at the Daily Planet. We get Clark running. His hair's a little bit more mussed up than Superman. He's wearing his glasses and his suit, and all classic Clark Kent look. And he runs aside, meets up with Lois and Jimmy and Perry. As we mentioned before, Lois is played by Rachel Brosnahan. And we've got Perry, played by Wendell Pierce.
Mentioned before also. We not mentioned Jimmy, though, actually, yet.
Jimmy is played by Skylar
Skylar.
And so...
It was just really like Scott. After Breaking Bad, I can only associate the name Skylar with Breaking Bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
Poor dude. Anyway.
Yeah. But we also have another character that hasn't shown up a lot in live action. Like, she was a huge part of Lois and Clark, of that show.
Yes.
And she was a huge part of the Supergirl TV show. Though she played a different role in that. But we have Cat Grant, the gossip columnist for the Planet, for the Daily Planet.
And we also have, she's
played by Michaela Hoover.
First show up here also. Ron Trope, played by Christopher McDonald.
Yes.
Which I think is hilarious because, like, it's, small. I guess Christopher McDonald doesn't get a lot of starring roles, but I just found it kind of funny now that, he's going to be in Happy Gilmore 2 in just a few weeks also.
Yep. Then we also have Steve Lombard, played by Beck Bennett.
That's right.
He's in there too. But yeah, so Lois is kind of busting Clark's chops about the article that he wrote about this fight with between Superman and the Hammer of Baravia.
Right.
And how it's interesting how Clark always gets the interviews with Superman. It's like, yeah, I interviewed him right after the fight.
I like this small little twist, right? Lois has the interviews with Superman in the Donner, right?
Yeah.
But Clark gets the interviews here.
Yeah, because he doesn't have to conduct an interview. He lived it. Which, then it's mentioned later. not too long from now. But anyway, so when was it that Clark got the call from his parents, from Ma and Pa Kent?
Oh, good question. I think it's around here.
Yeah, it was right around this time.
They're checking in on him because
they saw what happened in Metropolis.
Battle.
Yeah,
this fight.
I think it might have been right before the Planet, actually.
And I love the part too, because like the two of them are just kind of like sitting on like in the living room, and they have their phone like on the little coffee table and table, whatever. So they have it on speakerphone.
Yeah, they have it on speakerphone, and Martha Kent is, talking like real loud right into the speaker, right up against it. Which, I mean, it's done for comedic effect. But at the same time, I don't know how I feel about them being portrayed as so just
they are portrayed
when it comes to technology.
Very simpletons in this aspect, and especially this is a good point because what? I mean, it's it's present day. Like, cell phones and smartphones have been around long enough that even
the elderly
they're in their 60s.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
But they know how to use a phone.
Yeah. I mean, there are plenty of 60-somethings that can run circles around younger people with technology.
What's actually kind of funny, though, is like actually, if you take a look at like some of the younger kids now that are more used to talking like with like FaceTime and a lot harder time actually speaking on a phone
as a phone. Yeah.
So because like
I don't know how. I mean, I love the characters. I love the way that they're played.
I love that, especially this
they're done, but I just don't know. Especially this initial scene. Later in the movie, it's not nearly as noticeable. I mean, it's still
too exaggerated,
still there, but it's not as exaggerated later. But it's really exaggerated in this scene. But yeah, that's not to say anything against the actors or any or the characters. I love them.
These are tiny little nitpicks.
Yeah. But yeah, so they're calling to check up on him and make sure that he's okay. And
which is perfectly reasonable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, so after the scene at the Daily Planet, is that when you have the scene at the Pentagon?
After the scene at the Daily Planet,
yeah, that scene first before we cut back to Lois's apartment.
Yes, I think it's the Pentagon first.
And Frank Grillo is in this scene.
Yes, Frank Grillo's in the scene playing General Rick Flag Sr. Because we had Rick Flag Jr. in the Suicide Squad, which is still it. I don't know. Has it been confirmed that the Suicide Squad is officially part of the DCU, or are they just taking elements from it?
I think it's just elements.
Because it's supposed to be. Because I know Rick Flag Sr. is supposed to be the father of the Rick Flag that's in that. And yeah, I mean, the official start of the DCU was the animated show Creature Commandos, which starred Frank Grillo as Rick Flag Sr.
And
so he's reprising his role from that.
And it's Frank Grillo. Like, you can also make immediate kind of connections with the MCU.
Yeah. I mean, he was Crossbones. But I mean, I love Frank Grillo. Frank Grillo, I'm a big fan of his.
Again,
he's great.
It's a smallish role, but it's still an important role that he has in the movie here, to be honest.
Yeah.
And he does a good job with it. So.
Yeah. So basically, Lex Luthor is meeting with the Joint Chiefs of Staff, kind of.
Yeah. I think there's like a senator there too.
Senator, I think, yeah. Or like
trying to convince them.
It was just the Department of Defense that he's talking to.
Superman.
But anyway, so yeah, he's trying to convince them of the danger of not just Superman, but of metahumans.
Yes.
In general. And so, Frank Grillo is, trying to defend the metahumans because if you watched Creature Commandos, he worked with several of them in that. And so, but yeah, then some of the other guys that are in there, senators and whatnot that are in there are, they're trying to figure out, well, yes, we can definitely see the danger in with Superman. We can see there's concern, but so far we haven't seen any proof that he is bad. Yes. There's no hard evidence that shows that he's trying to hurt us.
I do like that this movie, they put it here too, like they acknowledge the amount of damage that happens.
Mm-hmm.
When things happen, these types of things happen.
Yeah. So and then I love how we need evidence, and Lex is like, well, I have a plan for that. And then one of the other guys is like, well, what about that stuff, that kryptonite stuff? What's that called? Lex is like, it's kryptonite. And then I think it's Frank Grillo. He's like, yeah, but there's no more of that left on Earth. And Lex is like, I have a solution for that too.
Yes. Again, I like how the basic lore, even among most people, is pretty well established. Oh yeah, there's kryptonite. But there's not left on Earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
So
we don't know why there's no kryptonite left. Right. It's just established that it is.
Yeah. So
Lex has a plan to.
Yeah,
recreate some kryptonite.
He has a solution for the lack of kryptonite. So we don't know what that solution is yet. But yeah, so they say, no for now, but if you can bring us some hard evidence that he's actually evil, then we'll give you the go ahead.
And others are saying like they know that that he produces, he's a weapons manufacturer also.
Yeah. So
you would actually also just benefit financially by any type of, military type of action.
Basically what we haven't explained yet here is, at this point, it has been explained in the movie that Lex has created his own group of metahumans. So he has the engineer who we met, who basically he infused her body with nanites. And so now she can basically morph her body into whatever she needs to be able to use. And
Hence the engineer.
Yeah. And then he's also got Ultraman. And he's got a group of soldiers that he calls Raptors.
Right. He kind of has his own kind of, soldiers, military, whatever you might want to call them.
Yeah.
Mercenaries.
Yeah. And so he calls his group, like Planetary Defense or something like that.
Something to that effect, right? Which again, like we saw them when Ultraman flew to the desert, right?
Yeah.
He's got some on the beach outside of Metropolis.
Yeah.
He has the people that were up there with him in the his command center also, right?
Yeah. So basically what Lex is trying to do in this meeting is get the government to hand over authority in the Superman matters and get his planetary defense group to bring Superman in and to be in charge of his incarceration.
To him.
Yeah, basically outsourced to him and his group. And
right? So they leave it at that. And so that's how when we cut to a scene where Lois is coming home to her apartment.
Yes, so Lois comes home to her apartment after work.
She gets in, she puts down like her keys and her bag,
and
right?
She hears something clanging in the other room.
And so she's got a baseball bat that's like right to the right of the door.
Right she walks the door. She grabs it.
Very classic city type apartment.
Yeah. And she's like sneaking around the corner and turns the corner into the kitchen. And you have Clark standing there.
He's making eggs.
Yep. He's making eggs. He's making breakfast. He's making Lois's favorite breakfast for dinner. And she's like, that's not my favorite. That's your favorite. It's like, yeah, but you love breakfast for dinner. She's like, no, I love breakfast for breakfast. You love breakfast for dinner. By the way, breakfast for dinner is amazing. If you've never tried it, I'm surprised that you've never tried it. But if you have never tried it, you should try it. Breakfast for dinner is amazing.
You could do any number of things, whether it's pancakes, eggs, whatever it might
French
be.
toast. I mean, you can even call it Brinner if you want. If you want to be one of those,
if you really, I mean, come
compound
on.
word people.
If you love a steak, make a steak, fry a couple eggs,
have steak and eggs for dinner.
Pop up some potatoes. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And we're not just talking a bowl of cereal for dinner. We're talking like breakfast food. Like,
no. Hey, I've done the bowl of cereal for dinner.
It's great. It's great. I've done that several times. But no, actually like making breakfast food for dinner is amazing.
There's a certain comfort level to it.
Yes, absolutely. That's a good way to put it. So there,
she doesn't want breakfast for dinner, though.
Yeah, and Clark is not wearing his glasses, and he's standing up straight, and his hair's not all messed up, and so he's clearly, Lois clearly knows that he's Superman, that Clark and Superman are the same person.
Yes, and then we quickly find out they're dating because they start
kissing right there in the kitchen. And then, Clark is like, good job today with the whole. I loved our banter at the planet, all back and forth about the interviews, and then that puts Lois into, it's kind of weird that you always get the interviews with Superman right after whatever events take place, because you don't need to interview him.
That's kind of a conflict of interest.
Kind of a conflict of interest, isn't it?
Actually, slightly unethical.
Yeah. And so he's like, "What? Do you want to interview me?" She's like, "I'd love to." It's like, "Okay, you can interview me sometimes." She's like, "How about right now?" It's like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, what I love about this part of it, right, is that this is when you kind of get the little naive Kal-El, Clark, whoever you want to say this, right? Small town Kansas boy. that,
Which
again, he's been living in Metropolis for probably about 3 years, and
and this is not saying anything bad about small town Kansas boys.
no,
I'm a Kansas boy myself. I grew up in Kansas. So if anybody can be talk about Kansas boys, I mean, come on.
being slightly awkward around the girl, whatever.
Yeah. So
And but she really wants to interview him about him interfering within this situation with the countries and the hammer of Moravia.
yeah, so
Especially because it seems he kind of does it preemptively.
yes. So yeah, so she, so they
Moravia
start
is
out.
not happy that he's interfered with what's happened.
Yeah. Yeah, they start out just as a general interview, kind of joking a little bit, and
Yes.
Clark thinks that it's going to be just a quick ask a couple questions, but Lois starts asking the hard questions.
Favorable interview.
Yes.
It's not going to be hardball interview.
Yeah. So Lois starts asking the big questions. Like first asked him what went on with the war, and he's like, well, I flew over there, I landed between, I stopped between the two factions, crushed a couple of tanks, and then, there was no loss of life, and then I went and had a discussion with the president of Moravia. And she's like, oh, what did you do? What kind of discussion was this? He's like, well,
right.
I flew him to the desert and placed him up against a cactus. He's like, so you tortured him? Like, no. The spines were about this long. He just puts his fingers up. Like they were tiny. It's like, so and she's like, well, what did you say to him? Well, I told him that, if he doesn't stop trying to invade Jarhanbor, then, he's going to have to answer to me. She's like, oh, so you threatened his life. It's like, no. I just meant that we were going to have a little bit more serious of a discussion. She's just like swatting away all his answers.
And he tries
like a good journalist does.
Off the record, and they're going back and forth, and it gets into the thing where she's like, it's like, oh well, I saved lives. Like, what? Do you know that? Was he imminently going to attack?
Was he imminently going to attack? And then you have all this stuff with the Hammer of Bravia coming on here now, and
I love the aspect about the cactus, because like it is funny because it's a very kind of Superman way of doing it without going too far over the edge.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, so you it's like, as opposed to like Batman, who's not afraid to be a little bit more extreme.
Yeah. And I love this. I love this whole little interview. It's just like throughout this, every question that Lois is asking, she's asking the questions that a good journalist would ask.
Yes, she does.
And, Clark just keeps getting more and more uncomfortable.
He's getting more uncomfortable.
He's just getting more riled up.
But then, he respects Lois as a reporter.
Yeah, so he keeps going with it. He keeps on letting her ask questions.
He loves her.
Yeah. And so
he's just confused about this entire situation.
So
and the chemistry of them going back and forth is awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But so they so she starts talking about, people are there are a lot of people on social media that are really not liking you. It's like, I don't pay attention to that stuff. It's like, yeah, I mean, stuff like hashtag, super something. Like, I forget what the first one was, but hashtag super shit. And he's like, Lois, that one specifically. It drives me crazy. Like super shit. Lois, that one specifically drives me crazy.
I forgot about that one.
If you don't pay attention to social media, then how do you know about that?
And I ain't a journalist. He should be paying some attention to social media.
But yeah, so he just starts getting really, really angry and really uncomfortable, and so they stop the interview, right?
And then she's like, Lois is like, I knew this relationship would never work.
Yeah, it's like I told you from the start that I'm not good with relationships.
Yeah,
and
so he's like, what does that even mean?
Yeah,
right.
So
he's even more flustered.
So they don't really do anything to make up at that point. He just kind of leaves.
No.
Clark just kind of leaves. And
so we cut back now, and it's back with Luther. And he's with the engineer, Ultraman, and Eve.
Yes.
And they're walking.
They land a helicopter in Antarctica.
And they're walking exactly the coordinates of where the engineer saw the fortress disappear.
Yes.
And then they look at it and they're wondering well, how are they going to get in?
Yeah, how are we going to get
Lex
in?
says I have it covered.
It's like how are we? Yeah, the engineer's like, how are we going to get in? It's tailored to his DNA. It won't open without Superman. Without Superman's DNA. And Lex is like, don't worry about it. I have it covered. He turns around, kind of opens his arms, and then the fortress lifts up out of the ground, just raises up right behind him.
Yep. And they walk in the front door.
Yeah, they walk in like they own the place. And
Four's there.
Yeah, Four's there, tries to stop him.
No, he's confused. It's not Superman.
Nope. Four's there, tries to stop him, and then the engineer and Ultraman just go crazy. Like they just go crazy on all the robots. Because all these robots are trying to stop them, and they're just taking them all out. They're taking all the robots out, and then Crypto comes up. And this whole time, I love it. Like all this stuff's going on, and Lex is just walking in a straight line. He's not flinching or anything. All this stuff's going on right around him, within inches of his face. He's just walking. He's determined to find something, to find some kind of dirt on Superman. And so Crypto comes up, and he starts flying toward the engineer, and she sort of throws a bunch of nanites at him, and it covers his head, sort of muzzles his head. And so he falls to the ground, and he's sort of whimpering and whining and all that, but he's out of commission. So they get up to the big console, the big computer console in the fortress, and Lex has the engineer hack into it to see if there's anything there, and she finds a message.
You get the message.
She finds a message, and it starts, displaying up there. This hologram displays up with Jor-El and Lara, and
and then like, again,
she's like, it's damaged.
Kind of skipping at the end again.
She's like, it's corrupted, but I can fix it. And so she works toward fixing it, and then we don't see what the actual what the corrupted part of the message is yet, but Lex seems very happy with it. Seems very satisfied.
And so while they're in there, they're also wondering, what's isn't he won't he come back? He's like, I've got that covered too.
He's like, I've got that covered too. And then it cuts
so we see
to
at nighttime. There's two of his little henchmen. They're in a little van. They're by the river, and they release this little alien creature.
One of them is Otis Berg.
That's right, Otis,
played by Terrence Rosemore. And so it's these two guys, Otis and this other guy, in a van, and they walk around to the back of the van, and there's this cage in the back. And they sort of hook up these cables, these ropes to the door to the cage, and they step to the side and pull on the ropes, and it opens up the cage. And then this little creature jumps out. This little alien creature jumps out.
Thing's not even over a foot tall.
So all I could think of when this thing jumped out was Stitch. It looks so much like Stitch from Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah.
And so it jumps out and sort of just scampers off, just scurries off. And the other guy that's with Otis is like, isn't it a little small to really be a threat? And Otis is like, oh, don't worry, it'll get bigger. Next thing we see is gigantic, like Godzilla sized.
It's like the size of a skyscraper.
This kaiju like in the middle of the
500 feet tall, just pounding the ground downtown
Metropolis. And so Superman, we see him going to fight it, and it's breathing fire. It's blowing fire everywhere.
Yes, it can breathe fire.
Superman's trying to block it, keep it from getting to the buildings, and trying to keep it from getting to the people, and
doing basic Superman stuff.
Yeah. And at one point, it blows a hole in the side of a building and blows fire inside there. So, and it's full of people in there, but luckily everybody was able to get to safety. So Superman, gets his attention, and this is where you get the whole in all the trailers, you get that shot. He's like, hey buddy, eyes up here. And then he just flies straight up in the air. And so, he gets his attention, and he's trying to fight. He's trying to come up with a humane way to take this thing out.
Because he is Superman.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to kill it. He doesn't want to hurt it too badly. He's trying to find a humane way to incapacitate it.
Set loose in Metropolis.
Yeah.
It's just doing what those monsters do.
Mm-hmm. And so then there appears this other group floating in midair.
Yes.
They come down, and Superman clearly recognizes them. But as the camera pans over to them, we see Nathan Fillion dressed as a Green Lantern.
Yep.
And we see Isabella Merced as Hawk Girl. And
then Ithigi.
Yes.
As Mr. Terrific.
Ithigi as Mr. Terrific, yes.
But Eddie, maybe, I don't know, but maybe it is Eddie. EDI.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I'm sorry if you're listening. I'm sorry if we're butchering your name.
Yes.
But
you're not just you were Mr. Terrific, and you were terrific.
Yes, so you were terrific. You were terrific, Mr. Terrific. And Nathan Fillion is not just any Green Lantern. He's the Guy Gardner Green Lantern. Guy Gardner. The douchiest guy. The douchiest of the Green Lanterns.
Which is perfect for Nathan
Fillion. He plays him so well. It's like, he's so great in this role. I love it.
I love how Superman's kind of like, he's happy he has support, but he's a little annoyed.
Yeah, he's like, because he's worked with these guys before. He knows what to do, especially Guy.
Especially Guy.
We will do Galaxy Quest someday.
we keep teasing it.
Yeah, it'll happen.
I know
it'll happen.
We will do it.
So they decide that they're going to help Superman take this thing out, but they're not listening to anything that he's trying to tell them. He's like, as he tries to tell them that we don't want to hurt it, we don't, but they're automatically trying to go for the kill.
Yes.
They learn pretty early on, go for the eyes. So Hot Girl flies straight for one of the eyes, starts hitting it with her mace. Right. Meanwhile, Mr. Terrific has his T-spheres that are, flying around, scanning it, trying to find a weakness. And then you have Guy Gardner. Guy who, he's I love it. The first thing he does is he does he muzzle it first? Or does he do the oven mitts?
He does the oven mitts first.
Yeah, first thing he does is like uses Green Lantern ring to, create 2 giant oven mitts around this thing's hands. And I love the exchange between him and Hot Girl, because Hot Girl's like, "God, are you just gonna sit up there and do nothing?" He's like, "What? I put oven mitts on it."
And then he muzzles it.
And then he it keeps on trying to shut its eye on Hot Girl, so she can't, she's not able to hit it. So he sends down this like little claw clamp thing that, spreads open his other eye, the other eyelid, and then it's got this little hammer thing in there that just keeps on just pounding its eye. Very reminiscent of if you saw the Suicide Squad, what they do with Starro. The interactions with Starro's eye. But anyway, so while they're distracting this thing, then Superman is flying around, because they're making it move all around. It's like it's stumbling around and
it's hitting into things,
and knocking stuff down, and so he's flying around trying to save people and squirrels, and he saves people, saves a squirrel.
Yeah, he saves a squirrel in this movie.
Yes, he saves a squirrel. Superman saves a squirrel. And then there's this dog. This dog is just standing there on the ground, just looking up, and this giant foot is coming down right on top of this dog. So Superman flies down, grabs the dog, or grabs the foot, keeps it from crushing the dog. So he's telling the dog to move, but the dog won't move.
That's right.
So he uses his super breath to blow the dog back. And here, I thought, with this part, because the dog kind of makes the dog fly back a little bit, and great. But then what stops it is a tree. The dog hits a tree, not super lightly.
No.
So I was sure that somebody in the crowd was going to take offense to that. And that they were going to, try to say that Superman's trying to hurt animals. But nobody mentioned that.
Good.
So, I thought that somebody, one of the Metropolis people, was going to, try to paint Superman in a bad light. Yeah, that they were going to try to paint Superman in a bad light because, he allowed a dog to get blown into a tree. But yeah, so I love this, because then after he blows the dog out of there, then the giant kaiju alien just kind of crushes Superman into the ground. And then you get the classic Bugs Bunny burrowing through the ground. As soon as I saw this, the first thing I thought was, I guess, as you get, the concrete from the sidewalks and stuff, like, going up like mounds, as he's burrowing through, just like Bugs Bunny. All I could think of was, I should have made a left at Albuquerque. Those who remember the old Bugs Bunny cartoons would hopefully laugh at that.
Yes. No bugs.
But yeah, so then he just pops up out of the ground. And at this point, the other three have been... We don't know what their superhero team name is yet. But yeah, the other three are still fighting the thing. And so he sees Mr. Terrific send a few of his T-spheres into the creature's mouth. Belly. And so he's using his X-ray vision, watching these things go down into its stomach. And once they get to the stomach, they explode. And the creature's stomach blows up and it drops dead.
Yeah.
No, so it falls, and it's about to fall onto a building, but Superman's able to catch it. Yes. It's about to fall onto a woman. It's about to crush a woman. Superman catches it.
Right. Yes.
Like he flies up and catches it on the back, And then the woman runs away, and he gently lays it down.
And then lays it gently onto the ground.
Yeah. And then, of course, Superman is mad. He goes up to Guy.
It's terrific.
Guy.
It's a guy.
And he starts, going off on him. He's like, why did you do that? I didn't want to kill it. I was hoping that we could take it somewhere and study it. Or, like, put it in a zoo or something. And so Guy is just being his own douchey self, It's like, well, we had to come here and save the people. He's like, but right before Superman goes off on Guy, I think Guy walks up to Superman. He's like, hey, kaiju steaks all around. He's all proud of himself. And then Superman lays into him. But then we find out that Guy calls them the Justice Gang.
Justice Gang.
The Justice Gang. And Hawk Girl.
Hawk doesn't like the name.
No, that's not our name. He's like, it's a placeholder name. So then there's a guy with a cell phone. Because everybody, the mood changes suddenly. Yes, all around.
Because everyone's happy.
Yeah.
Right? And there's even some things in the news, because news has been there, and they've recorded the fight. And
this is actually where we get the cameo from Will Reeve.
Yep.
Because he's on the news, he's talking about, the Justice Gang takes down a kaiju. And so that's where we get his cameo. And now there's breaking news. And this guy runs up to Superman. He's like, you have to see this. And hands him his phone. And so he's watching it. And it's Michael Ian Black talking to Lex Luthor. Like, he's interviewing Lex Luthor. And he's like, I understand you have some information. You have some information you want to share with the world about Superman. And Lex is like, yeah, I have a message. And he plays the message from Superman's parents. And, it's going through that first half. And, Superman's like, I don't see why this is a bad thing. And then it goes to that corrupted section. It kind of skips a little bit, like it was. But rather than just stopping like it did before, it keeps playing. And so then you have the second half of the message, which is Jor-El telling Kal-El that the Earthlings are weak. Rule over them. Take as many wives as you can to repopulate Krypton. Basically to create Kryptonian human hybrids to be able to create a new Krypton, basically.
Now all of a sudden everyone's kind of mortified.
Yeah, because all of a sudden this guy that showed up 3 years ago to, be a hero and fight for truth, justice, and the American way is going to take our women. He's going to have the secret harem. And Lex even mentions that. Lex is like, I have no idea how many people are already in his secret harem.
Yeah. And Lex confirmed, no, my people have confirmed
with the top with the top computer experts and linguists in the world that this is a real
top men, that
this is a genuine message.
But now everyone they're starting to curse and yell at Superman, throwing things at him. And he's confused. He's sad. He's upset.
Yeah. I mean,
rightly kind of get a slow motion shot of him walking.
He's walking, through a crowd of people. And, one guy throws a cup at him, hits him in the back of the head. And, he doesn't flinch because he's Superman. He just feels it hit him. And,
I mean, it's a cup.
Yeah.
What's a cup going to do to Superman? Yeah. Unless it's a kryptonite cup.
Yeah. But it's funny because in the trailers, in the early trailers for this, when they throw the cup at him, when it hits them in the back of the head, you can see him kind of blink. And then in later trailers and in the movie, they remove that blink.
Interesting.
So
he walks into the lobby of one of the buildings there.
Of Stag Industries.
The Justice.
Yeah, so he walks into the lobby of Stag Industries. You only know that because it says Stag Industries on one of the walls inside for a couple
one of
of
the
frames.
skyscrapers that has the huge lobby. It's it's all glass.
All glass
on the bottom, so everyone can see in.
Basically, he walks in there to try to just get away from everybody, just have a little bit of a minute to think. All right, and so he walks in there, and then the Justice Gang walks in right behind him, and we get guys walking around, and he just blasts the windows with his green stuff. Basically makes a wall around him that blocks anybody from seeing in through the glass.
Oh.
So that they can have a little talk with Superman. And, guy, the hothead that he is, he's like, is any of this true? Is this message true? He's like, the first half of it is. It was corrupted, so I had never seen the second half before, so I can't guarantee the validity of that. He had to have doctored it. And he's like, okay, because if this is true, then you are exactly the kind of metahuman that I was sent here by the Green Lantern Corps to stop. And then Mr. Terrific is like, I know those guys. I know those experts that Lex is talking about. If they say it's real, it's real.
Yeah, he's very serious about it. It's real.
But here's the thing. He didn't look into it himself. So there is still a chance in the future that they could retcon it. If they really wanted to. Is true. And this also, so before we go any further with the message, since the movie came out, there's been a lot of outcry about this message and how it completely changes Superman.
It doesn't completely change Superman.
It doesn't. This is not the first time that we've had Kal-El sent to Earth to rule.
Yes.
There are certain strains of comics that are like that. They're Smallville. Clark found that message from Jor-El saying, I'm sending you to Earth. Rule them. Use your powers to rule.
Yes.
This is not the first time that, Superman has been sent to Earth to rule.
Now, a little different, have lots of babies.
Yeah. I mean, that part's new.
But no, the idea of the rule, not just be a light, but the idea of the rule is not new.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that Jor-El's kind of a dick.
That's not
also
new
not.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's not entirely out of the blue. And so, again, they maybe they do retcon slightly the message to make it slightly less threatening, but it's not. Again, it's not in this entirely new thing or out of the blue.
Mm-hmm. So the Justice Gang leaves him there, and then Lex goes back to the defense people that he was talking to before, and they're like, "Oh, this new evidence that you've presented to us, you have the go ahead. We'll outsource it to you. Take him in." And so then they're calling for Superman's surrender, and he does the Supermanish thing to do, and he turns himself in. So they cuff him, and he's walking around. Ultraman and Rick Flag, Frank Grillo, are escorting him to Lex's helicopter so they can be taken to an undisclosed location. And so they get there and take him to the same place that the Hammer of Baravia, aka Ultraman, had landed and gone through into that tent, and they take Superman to that same tent and into that same portal. And so once he gets into the portal, then Lex reveals that it's not just some random cave.
Not a random cave.
They're in a pocket universe that Lex created.
Pocket universe.
Yeah. So, Lex did some experimentation and he ended up creating a pocket universe. And so this is where he keeps all of his rivals, basically.
His rivals and
political prisoners that, some people have hired him to,
he's more than happy
to keep somewhere
take
safe.
If they have the right price, enough money, he's more than happy to stash people away.
Yeah. But so
plus
he walks
exes.
in. So yeah, plus his exes who have wronged him. But yeah, so they start out like right on the other side of this portal is this big glass case, this big glass cube, basically. And there's this guy sitting in it who I am so glad they brought him into this movie, this character.
Yes.
So if you know anything about, the Superman's Rogues Gallery, there's this one of these, this is one of the lesser represented people. He's in the comics, he's in some of the animated stuff.
Right.
But he doesn't make too many appearances. But you have Metamorpho, aka Element Man. And basically, he has the ability to metamorphose his body into any element or combination of elements.
Or combination, like bonds, whatever it might be.
Yeah. So he can create, he can basically create anything.
The feel of this movie.
Yeah, he can basically create anything. And Lex makes it a point to say he can create anything from this earth or from outside of the earth. Like kryptonite.
And
so he turns his hand into kryptonite.
Had a solution for no kryptonite.
And so he...
And again, he said there's not really on Earth right now.
Yep.
And he was able to find a way to get it without it being on Earth. So
Metamorpho is actually his real name is Rex Stagg of Stagg Industries, which we had Superman had visited earlier. But so Lex keeps on referring to him as Rex.
Yes.
And Rex clearly doesn't want to be there.
He's like in the corner and he's downcast.
He's kind of skulking and he kind of, you can tell he's sad about something. Don't know what yet. And you can tell he kind of he doesn't want to be there. He's not trying to help Lex, but Lex clearly has something on him.
He's essentially a prisoner himself.
Mm-hmm. So, he turns his hand into kryptonite and just sitting there and so it's weakening Superman, and Superman like drops to his knees and he's in pain. And so while Lex is taking Superman to the place where his new cell will be placed, between Lex's ex, what was it? What was it that she did? Like badmouth them on social media or something like that?
Yeah, essentially, yes. I like how
they're on like a floating gondola. Yeah, they're on a floating gondola that's piloted by a guy that Lex calls Mr. Handsome, and it's very much not a handsome fellow. It actually it looks okay. So Mr. Handsome looks very strikingly similar to, if you've ever seen Community, he looks like the human being.
Yes.
The mascot of Greendale.
Yeah.
He looks very similar to the human being.
But, is that his role here? Essentially, he transports Lex from the entries to this pocket,
Mm-hmm.
or and to the prison, different cells.
Oh, we missed one thing earlier though. There was another appearance of this pocket universe earlier with the president of Moravia.
Yes, we did.
Because the president of Moravia was giving a speech or something. And then after the speech, he went through a portal and
That's right.
he was
He's in his
and Lex met
presidential
him.
palace.
Yeah, and Lex met up with him in the pocket universe.
Like he has a secret entrance behind a painting in his office.
Yeah, behind a painting of himself in his office. Yeah.
And it open, the painting rolls, to the side.
Yeah, and that discussion there that they're having is when we find out that Lex is all about real estate.
Yes.
Because Lex had helped the president of Moravia create this conflict with Jaranpur so that Moravia could take over Jaranpur and Lex would be given half of the land there.
Yes. Now, Jaranpur, it seems like it might be a nice place, but, Superman the movie, he bought all the land in Nevada that borders California.
Yeah. Basically all the land, and then all the useless desert.
California off the coast, so now he has beachfront property.
Yeah.
So what's
and
the
this,
angle on
basically the angle on Jaranpur is, Lex is being given half of Jaranpur, so he'll have his own country to rule.
Yeah, I guess this is the ruling aspect. Anyway, Anyway, so we're back at the prison. They're putting him in there, right? Again, he got his, one of Lex's exes right next to him. Mm-hmm. This is when we find out what they have a Metamorpho.
Yeah, so before Lex leaves, he looks at Rex at Metamorpho. He's like, "Hey, look over there." And the camera pans over and we see this weird looking baby, being held by one of Lex's minions. And he's sort of waving the baby's hand at Rex. And so it's clear here that this is Rex's baby.
Yes. So
Lex has his son to basically hostage so that Metamorpho has to do what he wants.
Keep his kryptonite there until Superman dies. Right?
Yeah. And so Lex leaves and everybody's trying to figure out where Superman went. And this is when we find out that Jimmy, because it cuts to the Daily Planet, and it's late at night, and it's pretty much just Lois and Jimmy there.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy has a source in Lex's group. We don't know who it is yet, but he has them in his cell phone as mutant toes. Yeah, so this person has information for him, and
Lois is there, and she's trying to find the connection between Luthor and Moravia.
Yeah,
we know what it is.
Yes, we know what it is.
No one else does,
because we saw that scene. They didn't see it. So, so Lois is trying to figure that out, and Jimmy gets a text from Mutant Toes saying that Superman is being kept in a pocket universe.
Well, she know that? Did they know that yet?
Yeah, because he's told. He's in a pocket universe, and so then Lois has to try to figure out how to get there, how to get him out of there.
Well, I mean, then she finds out. The first thing she finds out before that, right, is that she's able to find that Luthor is selling weapons for Moravia.
Yes, like 90. Yeah,
cheap.
Selling 90. They've sold $90 billion. $93 billion worth of weapons to Moravia, but they've only paid $1 billion for it. So basically, they're giving away free weapons.
It's like, so what? So she's trying to figure out the angle, and that's when Jimmy's like, oh, well, he does a few texts, and that's when he's able to find out, like, oh, yeah, no, he's being held in a pocket universe.
Yeah. And so then, of course, his source wants to meet up.
I love this scene because like this is like this feels like straight out of a comic. Like he shows up, it's in the seedy part of town.
Walking through, there's some ladies of the evening who are trying to proposition him.
And the walks by him,
and there's this alley that he gets pulled into, and
he turns the corner down to the town,
and it's Eve Tessmacher, Lex's girlfriend. And she's like hanging all over Jimmy. She's so excited to see him. And, he's trying to get information from her. And
she just wants to hang out with him.
Yeah, she just wants to hang out with him. She wants to spend time with him. But, she's clearly very overbearing. And, Jimmy doesn't want to spend any more time with her than he absolutely has to. So it's just a funny little interaction that they have anytime that they're around each other. But or is this where the pocket universe explanation comes in?
He explains it earlier, right? He gets an answer earlier in the Daily Planet. But now Lois wants to find out if his source can give him more information about that connection.
Yeah. So
that's why they're meeting. And so he presents that. It's like, I need to find out what this is. And she's like, well, no, I can help you, but you got to promise we're going to spend a weekend together.
Yeah. Like, how much of the weekend? The whole weekend. So he's like, okay. It's like, great. I can't wait to see your mom. I think of her as my own mother. He's like, yeah, after that one time you met.
It cuts back to the pocket universe. And now you got,
well,
president.
Does it come back to the pocket universe here, or is it Lois? Does it follow Lois now?
Well, I don't know. I know as we get which order that it's in, but I know we get a scene back in the pocket universe.
I mean, they're both happening pretty much simultaneously. So
they get Luther and Dorcos.
Yeah,
they get back to the cell. And they have Malik.
Yeah, they have Malik tied to a chair. And this is the part of the movie that...
This is the darkest part of the movie.
This is the darkest part of the movie. This is something that I did not expect to be in this movie. It's just very unlike most portrayals of Lex Luthor. To do this kind of thing. But so they have Malik. He's tied to a chair, and they're trying to get answers out of Superman.
And to do this, they're going to play Russian roulette with Malik.
And at this point, Superman is like on the ground. He's like,
Malik's going to play it on willingly.
Unwillingly, yeah. So, yeah, at this point, Superman is like on the ground. He's dying from kryptonite poisoning, right?
Like his face is distorted now.
Yeah. And he's trying to get Lex to just to stop.
Not do this.
Yeah. To let Malik go. And so so Lex is like, well, let's see how quickly we can get you to talk. And he puts one bullet in a revolver, spins the cylinder, and then points it at Malik's head.
Superman doesn't say anything, and he pulls the trigger, and nothing happens.
Yeah, see, yeah. So Malik, but yeah, they call him Mali, and so yeah, pulls the trigger, nothing happens. So okay,
he spins it again.
Well, let's try this again. Spins it again, but yeah, Superman just keeps on saying, "Lex, stop doing this! Don't do this." And
he doesn't. I mean, Superman doesn't really have anything to give him.
Yeah, he doesn't really have anything to give him. No. So, he puts the gun to Molly's head again and pulls the trigger. This time, the camera pulls back a bit. So this time, the bullet's in the chamber, and he shoots him in the head.
It actually kills him.
It actually kills Molly.
There's not a lot of actual death in this movie, and this is one of them. And it's
dark. Like, this is the hands down the darkest part of the movie.
But it's important because now Rex sees this, and Rex can't take this.
Yes. So Rex sees this, and and Lex is like, "Oh, I thought that would last a little bit longer." He just kind of brushes it off, and then like, "Well, we'll be back soon with somebody that you actually care about. Maybe we'll maybe that reporter that does all the interviews with you. Maybe next I'll kill Clark Kent."
Which, by the way, where is Clark in this movie?
I know. Where is Clark? It's strange. He seemed to take
we haven't seen Clark in a long time.
He took some time off of work at the same time the Superman disappeared. It's weird. But so Rex sees this and he just starts crying right there. He's like, he just killed that man and I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything to stop him. And before Superman had completely collapsed, when they had first gotten to the cell, and Superman saw that that Lex had Rex's son hostage, and he's like, "I can fly over there and get him for you if you'll just let me go." But Rex didn't want to risk it, and so now Rex changed his mind. He's like, "You said that you could go and get my son, right?" And Superman's like, "Yes, I can." And so, Rex takes the kryptonite away.
He kind of, returns his normal state.
Returns his hand to its normal handness. And and Superman's still on the ground.
He's not feeling like the effects of the kryptonite, but he still looks messed up.
He's still weak. He's still,
and
Rex, they're both trying to figure out what this is.
I need the yellow sun to heal.
And so Rex is like, "Well, I can't create the sun, but I can create something like it." And so he sort of puts his hands, together like he's holding a ball. And
basically, he starts bringing the energy.
Naming off. He starts naming off different elements. He's like, "I'll need hydrogen, some helium, some all this." And all of a sudden, this orb, this glowing orb, starts appearing in his hand that looks like a small sun. And it starts getting brighter and brighter, and then the Lex's ex-girlfriend, who's in the cell next to him, starts freaking out. She's like, "What are you doing? He's doing something! Guards! He's doing something!" And then the guy on the other side starts yelling the same thing, trying to get the guards' attention.
I don't think this is a good idea.
He's like, "He's doing something over here."
I want to know what this guy did. He looks like there's a regular dude.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like he's some political prisoner of some other country or whatever. Maybe he picked on some ultra millionaire. Maybe when he was in high school.
Maybe he dinged Lex's car, in the parking lot. Maybe he dinged his door.
And then I think that's when we kind of, I don't know, maybe that's when we cut. I can't remember. We get the scene, and as you were saying,
yes. So that
where Lois goes to the Hall of Justice.
Yeah, no. So first we get. So it gets brighter, and it shows like an outside view from the cell, and just this bright light just covers everything. And then we cut back to the cell, and Clark is now standing up as the light starts getting dimmer again.
Right.
And he just breaks through the glass of his cell, flies straight across, punches the guard that's holding the baby, and he grabs the baby. And then from here, I think it cuts to the Hall of Justice. Meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice. So, cuts to the Hall of Justice, where we have Guy and Hot Girl and Mr. Terrific. And Lois is there with them. And she's talking to him, trying to tell him, that Superman's in a pocket universe. We need to go get him out of it.
And Green Lantern and Hawk Girl don't want to help.
Yeah. They don't want to help.
Mr. Terrific agrees.
Mr. Terrific, agrees. It's
but mostly because he's kind of pissed off at Green Lantern.
Yeah. Because they don't get along. And then they go again with the whole, Guy is like, we're the Justice Gang. And Hot Girl's like, we did not agree on that name. And Mr. Terrific is like, no, I don't like that name either. He's like, but what was it that he said to Terrific, that like his vote doesn't count or something? It's like, yeah, Mr. Terrific. Yeah, oh no, that's right. Your superhero name is Mr. Terrific. That's a dumb name, so your vote doesn't count. And then Hot Girl's like,
obviously this is enough for Mr. Terrific.
He's like, but I don't like it either. So, and then the guy's like, well, this is Justice Gang. Like, why do you get to decide? He's like, because I'm the leader. I break all ties.
My vote counts as two.
My vote counts as two. Listen to our science episode. But
he takes Lois, and what he says, like, he actually put some nanotechnology into Superman.
Yeah, into Superman's blood. So here's the thing.
Track where Superman is.
A couple questions I have here. One, how was he able to get nanotech into Superman's bloodstream?
Terrific question.
Especially if there's no more kryptonite on Earth. Because how would he have something that could actually pierce his skin?
Right. It's not like he could just do a little pinprick into his bloodstream, because the needle would just bend. And
then also, the second question, why would Superman allow that?
Also a good question. Regardless, it happened.
Yeah. And then Lois like, you put nanobots in Superman's bloodstream? He's like, man, I do that to everybody.
Again, why is everybody allowing him to do this?
Yeah.
He kind of sounds like a predator.
Yes, he does.
Regardless, Lois goes with him. And Lois was asked, do I have nanobites?
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah. So, anyway, basically, the general consensus is the Justice Gang is not going to help Lois get Superman back. And so Mr. Terrific escorts her out. And when they get out, he's like, yeah, the Justice Gang's not going to help, but I will. And she's like, why? He's like, because I can't, because it's going to piss off Guy.
Guy.
I'm going to do it just for the sole purpose of pissing off Guy. So they, he takes her over to the garage. Or she's like, so let's take my car. He's like, no, we'll take my ride. And then we get this little comedic scene of them standing there waiting for this really slow garage door to open.
This is very Gunn.
And, the door finally gets about halfway up. And she's like, you have a flying saucer, but you can't get a faster garage door. He's like, I haven't worked on it yet. I haven't gotten around to it yet. So they get into this spaceship looking thing.
Waited for the joke. I mean, for the punchline of that joke, because you're watching this
because it's a good
like,
30, 45
really
seconds.
Slow opening door. It's finally Lois says.
It's like a good 30, 45 seconds that they're standing there in silence watching this really slow garage door open. And it also,
sitting there as an audience, they're like, what's happening?
She can't ask about it until it gets high enough for her to see what's behind it. So yeah, it's great. But
they take off.
So he calls it. It's this spaceship looking thing that he calls the T-craft. Because Mr. Terrific, all his stuff is T something. T-craft, T-spheres.
Terrific.
Mr. Terrific. He's got a big T on his face.
He does have a big T on his face. This is very on the nose.
His mask,
DC comic.
His mask is a T right in the middle of his face. Going across his eyes and down his nose and mouth to his chin.
This is DC Comics.
Yes.
He should have just waited. You know what? She should have just said, screw you, I'm calling Space Cabbie.
Yes. She should have.
Space Cabbie will take me where I want to go.
James Gunn is the kind of person that would put Space Cabbie in his movie. And I love him for that. Unfortunately, though, Space Cabbie is not in this movie. He should be. Space Cabbie needs his own movie. Plenty of time
for Space Cabbie to show up in this universe.
Yes. Especially with James Gunn behind the DCU, Space Cabbie better show up sometime.
Yeah, so, take off. They get to the beach, and you have the Luther's Raptors there, and it's a whole sequence of.
Yeah, I love this because they land and they start like there's the music. There's music playing from the radio, in one of the tents, and Mr. Terrific and Lois, step out of the T-craft, and they're kind of walking up there, and you see like this holographic presentation of Superman, just a bunch of different Supermans,
yeah. He
just like in a line, showing the path where he was walking. And he goes into this tent. So they're just following that holographic line of Superman, and the Raptors are there. They're trying to get him to stop, but Mr. Terrific just keeps on walking, and he's like, "Stop, or we'll take you down," something like that. And Mr. Terrific's like, "Funny, I was about to say the same thing to you." And so then they start shooting at him, but as soon as they start shooting at him, he makes one of his T-spheres put a force field around him and Lois. And all the bullets are getting stopped by the force field, and so he sends a couple of those other T-spheres out of there to sort of go around and take out people. Meanwhile, he dives through the force field, so he's outside and he's just like beating the crap out of these guys. Meanwhile, Lois is safe in the bubble.
She's fine.
She's safe in the bubble of the force field, and she's just watching all this going on. And I love it because as soon as the bubble appears, then the music just becomes the score of the movie. Like it just becomes like the music that's playing for the movie, not necessarily out of the radio. But like the music gets louder, and it's like, and so it's just showing, Mr. Terrific just beating the crap out of all these Raptors, and then also just all the scientists that are there too.
Yeah, no, it's like everybody is on the speech.
So once everybody is unconscious, then he drops the bubble, and as soon as that force field drops, then the music goes right back to just being from the radio.
Yep. And they walk down to that tent.
And they find this portal. And, Mr. Terrific's like, oh, Lex did create a pocket universe. Doesn't he know how dangerous this is? You're risking
a black hole into the universe.
You're risking a black hole every time you activate this thing. And so he's got a couple of his T-spheres that are trying to hack into the computers to open up this portal. And they get it open. And so Mr. Terrific and Lois walk through it. And they don't go far because there's nothing to step onto on the other side of the portal. So they're kind of just standing there trying to figure out how they're going to get past there. They look down and see Lois suggests they just jump down and swim through this river that's a little ways below them. And Mr. Terrific's like, no, that's an anti-proton river. It'll tear us apart in seconds. So he sends a couple of his T-spheres out to go and try to find Superman. And at this time, Superman and Metamorpho, Rex, have they've started trying to escape. Because they want to find Crypto, which that's the thing. So we missed a spot. We missed something earlier before Superman was captured and taken to the prison. He went back because when he flew back after being beaten by the hammer,
right?
He flew back to the fortress and found it.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
he found the fortress and all the robots destroyed. And Crypto was nowhere to be found.
That's right.
So, part of the evidence that Lex used was then his encounter with Superman coming up, because after Crypto disappeared,
screaming at Lex,
then Superman had flown to Lex's office, and he just busts in there and starts yelling. He's like, "Where's the dog, Lex? Where's the dog?" And Lex is like, "I don't know anything about a dog." And Superman's like freaking out. He throws Lex's giant desk over against the window, and Lex is just standing there with his coffee mug.
Lex is just being cool.
She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know anything about a dog. And then he goes to take a sip, and he's like, dumb looking dog in a cape. And then as he's sipping,
I forgot about that. Throws him off further, and then again.
Meanwhile, there's cameras. Lex's people are filming this right now. And
they don't get the dumb looking dog in a cape.
Yeah, and so because he just kind of mumbles it as he's taking a sip, and Superman's like, "What did you say?" He's like, "I didn't say anything. I don't know anything about a dog.
What are you talking about?"
So that's why. That's why Superman ended up turning himself in, so that he could be taken to wherever Crypto is, and he could save him and he could rescue him.
Yes, that's right.
So. They're in there, and Superman and Rex are, fighting off the Raptors. And as they were going to the cell before with Lex, I forgot about this part too. They pass by Lex's monkey bots. So there's a bunch of monkeys that have electrodes in their brains and stuff, and they're sitting at computers, and they're the ones that are typing out about super shit and secret harem, all this stuff. They're all of his social media protesters basically.
Yep.
It's literal monkeys on keyboards, at computers. All this stuff out. And then they pass by, Crypto is being held in this bubble, basically like a snow globe looking thing.
Yeah.
And he's just it looks like he's chasing a bunch of squirrels. And Lex is like, how do you stop a super dog? You project super squirrels into his brain. So. Yeah, so he's occupied trying to catch these super squirrels. But anyway, so after back to the escape, after Superman and Rex escape, then Rex is like, you've got to hold, Joey is his son's name. Right. So he goes up, he, hugs Joey, and then he tells Superman, you've got to hold on to him. I can't hold him while I'm changing shape.
Right.
Which is understandable because a lot of what it is he won't have hands when he's changing shapes and stuff like that. Right. So it'd be kind of hard for him to hold on to a baby.
Might be his son.
Yeah. So, so Superman takes the baby. And next thing you see, Superman flies right through this snow globe thing that Krypto is in, and gets him out of there. And then, of course, Krypto is real excited and comes and tackles him and starts jumping all over him again.
Little dog.
And so all the rest of the Raptors are coming to get him. So now that they have Krypto and they have Joey, they start trying to find one of these portals so that they could escape the Pocket Universe. So they're flying around getting attacked by raptors.
But the portal's been open for too long now.
Yeah, the portal's been open for too long. The one that Mr. Terrific and Lois are at. So it's starting to implode on itself.
Yep.
And if it stays open too long, then it'll create a black hole. And they've got that anti-proton river beneath them that they can't go down into because it'll tear them apart in seconds. So the Raptors start knocking Superman down into this river. So he's getting washed down the river. They're trying to keep him in it. And meanwhile, he's trying to hold Joey up above his head so he doesn't get in the river. And
a black hole starting to form.
Yeah, there's a black hole at the end of this anti-proton river. And I love this. Rex is surrounded by raptors, and they're gonna take him. They're gonna take him away, and he starts turning into what looks like water. Like, what are you gonna splash us? It's like, yeah. With, I forget what kind of acid he says it is, but with acid.
Acid.
And then he just, his whole body, everything except for his head, just splashes out. This acid flies all over all these guys. So he's just a flying head at this point. And so and I love what, so before the Superman gets thrown in the river, right? Before the acid, when he's still, because he did something with his legs where he basically turned his legs into tentacles kind of thing, right? So while he's flying it.
Right. Yes. And I
love, the T-spheres get over to him. And so Mr. Terrific can see what's, what the cameras on the T-spheres are seeing. And Lois is like, did you find him? It's like, yeah, I found him. And a flying dog. And a squiggly man.
That's right.
And I love, we didn't mention this, and I love how Mr. Terrific, during this whole movie, he's talking very similar to Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder.
Yes.
He's very reminiscent of Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. Yeah, so then we get the whole, Superman getting thrown into the river. And so Krypto's down there trying to get him out and sees the T-sphere. Sees the T-spheres flying around and thinks they're balls. So he goes to catch the ball.
That's what dogs do with balls.
Mm-hmm. And so he goes and he chases the balls and bites down and breaks them, and much to Mr. Terrific's chagrin.
Chagrin.
And so they're able to fight off the raptors, but Superman still can't get out of the river, of the anti-proton river. So he's trying to get Crypto to pull him out. And then, there's that black hole at the end of it that they're getting sucked into. So Crypto can't help him get out because Crypto's starting to get sucked into the black hole. And so Metamorpho comes down and he tries to grab Superman and pull him out, but he can't. The power of the black hole is too strong. And so Superman ends up using his super breath to blow toward the black hole, and it's enough force to be able to pull him away from it. And on his way back, as he passes Crypto, he reaches over and grabs his paw and, drags him along with him. Then they get out of the river and they're on the ground. And I love this part too, because it's just a nice little touch. Because with the force of Superman having to use his super breath on there, with how much force he had to put into it, he starts like massaging his cheeks. just like after you've been blowing up a bunch of balloons or something like that, and your cheeks kind of get stretched out a little bit and they start to hurt. It's that kind of thing. So I just thought that was a nice touch.
I agree.
But at this point, they get up and they know where Lois and Mr. Terrific are. So the two of them, sort of before the whole portal collapses, they're able to get out of there, go back to the main reality, the main universe, and Superman is able to fly through with Crypto and Metamorpho at the last second before the thing just collapses.
Very last. They get right through it. Because the problem is, like, Superman's like severely weakened. Yeah,
because of kryptonite poisoning. So, he bids farewell to Metamorpho. Metamorpho takes Joey home, and
and they realize
they're like
really only one place right now where he is safe.
Yeah, because Lois notices that his veins are green, and so he's like, "What's up with your veins?" And Mr. Terrific's like, "Kryptonite poisoning." And Lois is like, "Is he going to be okay?" He's like, "Yeah, he'll heal. It'll take a day or two, but he'll be fine." And so then they
go to the Kent farm.
Yeah,
not really the Kent farm, the Kent house.
Yes. They go to the Kent farm in Smallville, Kansas.
Because again,
they take the T-Craft.
Luther doesn't know that.
Yeah, Mr. Terrific Mr. Terrific tells Lois to take the T-Craft because he has to stay and make sure that this portal doesn't cause a rift in the space-time continuum that's going to swallow up the universe.
Up near Metropolis,
and he doesn't want any sort of fissures. And so
we don't need a fissure.
We don't need a fissure.
I wasn't here before.
So he's like, take the T-Craft. The controls are easy and intuitive.
Not that intuitive.
So she loads Superman up and Crypto into the T-Sphere, into the T-Craft, and sits down. They fly to Kansas. And she's about to fly, and then Crypto jumps up in her lap.
That's right.
And just sits there like a dog does. While you're trying to drive, the dog just wants to sit in your lap. So she just kind of tries to look around the dog because she can't get him to get down. So she's like, all right, well, and she tries to compensate with flying. So they get to the Kent farm. They're greeted by Ma and Pa Kent, Jonathan and Martha Kent. And, right away, I love it. Martha introduces her. Is it Jonathan that introduces them to Lois? Like the first thing they do once they see them is like they introduce themselves to Lois because they've never met her before. And then they take Clark inside.
And they take him up to his bedroom. He lies down there, and she's there. She looks around.
So earlier in the interview scene,
talking about the music.
Yes, they were talking about punk rock and how Lois loves punk rock, and Clark was like, "I love punk rock. I love," he names these bands, and he's like,
"It's like they're mainstream. They're not punk rock."
And so when they're in Clark's bedroom and he's laying on the bed, she's just looking around the room, and on the wall there's a poster
What I love about the poster is that actually looks like it's from like 25 years
Yeah.
ago and could have been a Blink 182 poster.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So Clark's laying there. The next day comes, the sun comes up, and he wakes up, and Crypto is laying on his chest, like a dog does. And then we get Clark is sitting outside on the front porch.
Our porch. Again, like this house is pretty simple. It's not like a big farm like you sometimes see associated with Superman.
Yeah, and so when they first showed up there, when they first showed up there, Jonathan was really concerned about Clark, and and Martha tells Lois that he's just a big ball of mush, especially when it comes to Clark. And so
they have a conversation. Well, I don't have the conversation yet because he's
so Clark's just sitting there. He's just
they have the conversation. Or do we have the stuff between Jimmy and Eve again?
We do, yes, because I think that was in the time before the sun came up that we have the stuff with Jimmy and Eve again.
Yeah, so we have that going on again.
So this is back at the command center, at the Luthor Corp command center, where Eve is there. She's taking selfies again.
And Luthor's upset.
Yeah, Luthor's upset that Superman escaped. So he throws a mug with pencils and stuff in it on the ground. It shatters, and so his assistants are coming around picking it all up.
Yes, and so Eve is scared by this. She's harmed by this. She goes to this closet.
Mm-hmm. She goes to the janitor closet, and she calls Jimmy, and she's like, "Jimmy, I'm done with this. I'm going to give you everything I have,
all that you want.
I'm going to give you all the information you want." But yeah, this is when she's like, "You got to spend the weekend with me."
That's right.
He's like, "How much of the weekend?" She's like, "The whole weekend."
Jimmy's alone at the Daily Planet, right? It's like, oh, okay. And there's some raptor just hears her crying hysterically.
Yeah. And so the raptor comes in and grabs her, and so she, just sends everything that she has. And it just happens to be all of these selfies. She's been taking selfies the entire movie. And so the raptor's like, sending sexy selfies to someone that's not Lex, huh?
And he doesn't realize everything that's happening.
Yeah.
It's enough to get her sent to the pocket universe.
Yes. But now Jimmy has all these selfies that she sent him. At first he's like, oh no, he's trying to he thinks that she lied to him about having information on Lex and that she just wanted to send him the selfies.
He sends them to Lois.
Yeah, he sends them to Lois, and Lois takes a closer look at him.
She also sees a map behind Eve.
In the most recent selfie, she sees a map behind Eve.
She zooms it in.
Yeah. We got Baravia, and then right next to it, where Jaranpur should be, is half of it is New Baravia, and the other half is Luthor or something, or I forget what he was going to name his country, but something clearly owned by Lex. And then
Luthoria.
Yeah, Luthoria. That's what it is. Yeah. And so then she started noticing that in all these other selfies in the background were different documents and different things, making legal documents showing that after Jaranpur is taken over, then Lex will get half of Jaranpur to do with as he pleases, and
everything that was needed.
Yeah.
So Luthor then has Gorko station troops at the border to prepare an invasion, right? but he also was going to order the rift to open up at the
Yeah, because he was gonna
So now
he was gonna
is the
basically
half
he
choose.
was gonna this portal that they had traveled through in the at the beach on the sand. Yeah, he was gonna basically overload this portal and cause this rift to start, where apparently a rift in the universe can be stopped with a code. I don't know, but yeah. So before that happens, though, we cut back to the Kent farm, and Clark is sitting out on
Again,
the
like I
front
said
porch.
earlier, they're on the porch
Yeah,
and he's talking with.
he's well. First off, he's watching. He's looking at a crypto, and crypto's playing with a cow.
That's right. He is playing with a cow.
And so Clark's just sitting there, just he's basically just playing the last few days over and over in his head.
Yep,
Basically,
he's kind of brooding.
He's brooding. He's trying to figure out what to do next. This mission to Earth, that his parents sent him on, was not what he thought it was.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense anymore. He has no direction in life anymore. He doesn't know what to do. And his dad comes out. Jonathan Kent comes out.
You ruined my life.
No, that's that's just a terribly delivered line in an episode of Smallville. But
his dad comes out.
His dad comes out, sits down next to him. He's like, son, it's not, what your parents sent you to do. Maybe that is, maybe it isn't. I don't know what it is, but your choices and your actions are what make you who you are. Your mom and I raised a son that we're proud of.
Right. They did not raise Clark that would watch his father die in a tornado.
Yeah. And just sit back under an overpass and watch it happen. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Snyder fans.
So anyway, I am very glad that they went with one of the storylines, one of the Superman storylines where both of his parents are alive in this one.
Absolutely. I agree.
Where they didn't go with the typical, Jonathan Kent dies when he's younger, and that's what drives him to then,
I think it's really
be Superman.
Good, because again, they don't go back into it, and it shows that his power doesn't just come from the fact that his physiology matches with the yellow sun to be enhanced.
I mean, yes, that's where his strength, that's where his durability, that's where his flight, all of his on paper superpowers come from.
His heart and his drive and what motivates him is from his adoptive parents.
Yes, absolutely.
And they need both of them here to demonstrate that within this story.
Yeah.
Now, if they want to kill Paul Kent in the sequel, all right.
Yeah, but they needed him for the purpose.
This movie, we need both.
And so basically, he talks to Clark about his humanity. I mean, yeah, sure, he's an alien, but he's more human than he thinks. He
likes breakfast for dinner.
He was raised on Earth. He was raised by salt of the earth farmers in small town Kansas. And he's like, your choices and your actions make you who you are, or what make you who you are. And then Martha comes out. She's like, mush. It's like, what I say, mush. He's like, Clark, there's something on the box you should see.
She calls it the box. And it's the invasion.
Yeah, because Martha had been inside talking to Lois, right? During all this, and so yeah, they go out there, they go inside, and they're watching TV, and it's news coverage about what's going on the border of Baravia and Jaranpur.
And you got all the tanks and military. They're ready for the invasion.
Mm-hmm.
You have these simple people on the other side of the border.
Yeah, and it's
just kind of preparing themselves with whatever way they can.
Yeah. And there's this one kid that's doing something. There's like this long pole on the ground, like a makeshift pole, and he's doing something with it. Can't really quite see what.
He's got Heath Ledger's American flag.
Yes. He's got Heath Ledger's American flag that he puts on the end of this pole, and he raises it up, Iwo Jima style. He and his little buddies, he and his little friends. But no, it's not an American flag, but it's
a yellow flag.
It's a yellow flag with the Superman symbol drawn on it.
The red Superman symbol on it.
And we haven't mentioned the Superman symbol for this. So his suit, Superman's suit, got a lot of criticism. In the months leading up to this movie, they're like it doesn't look. It doesn't look like Superman's suit should be. It's too baggy. It's too whatever. If you look at his suit, there are elements from all of the different points of inspiration for this movie.
Yes.
So it's got the trim work on it. That it's got the collar and the sort of the lines and trim work of the New 52 Superman suit.
Yep.
It's got the S shield of Kingdom Come. It's got the shorts, the red underwear on the outside of All-Star Superman. The sort of bigger, more short like rather than like Speedo type. And it's got the cape with the yellow Superman symbol on the back, like the Christopher Reeve Superman. So this suit is an amalgamation of all the different inspirations for the movie, which I think is awesome. I think it's really well done. A good idea to do that with the suit. But yeah, so this flag that this kid is tying to the end of this pole is, it's a yellow flag with the Superman symbol on it. And so he and his friends, raise it up. They do raise it up Iwo Jima style.
Yes.
But then they
start yelling Superman.
The rest of the kids kind of get scared away by the military on the other side of the border. So, they kind of leave this kid to hold the pole up. But just before, the military invades, and this kid just starts saying Superman, Superman,
and all
Superman,
the other John Porians start yelling Superman.
Mm-hmm. They start chanting Superman, Superman, Superman.
And this is the motivation now that Clark needs as he's watching this.
Yeah. And so he's like, I gotta go. Or well, he doesn't say I gotta go. Martha is like, I washed your boots. I'll go get them for you.
I love it. Such a motherly thing to say. They get in the T-craft and they fly off.
Well, Superman flies off, and then Lois gets in the T-craft and flies off.
That's right. Now you think he's flying off to Jaranpur.
Yeah.
But
you think he's flying off to Jaranpur, but no. He is going to where is he going? You think he's going, but Lex has another surprise for him in Metropolis, because he's about to fly off to Jaranpur, but Mr. Terrific calls him. He's like, I need you in Metropolis. This fissure is coming from the portal, and it's about to level the city.
It's going to just rip open the city.
He's like, I can't stop it myself. I need your help. He's like, but I got to go to Jaranpur. He's like, Jaranpur's going to have to wait. This fissure is going to swallow the city. And so Superman's like, okay, I got to go there. So he goes and meets Mr. Terrific in Metropolis.
But they're trying to evacuate people from the city.
Mm-hmm. Trying to evacuate people from the city.
And Lois gets back. She's at the Daily Planet, and she's talking with Jimmy and Perry, and she's presenting all this evidence to Perry. It's like, all right, like, yeah, I think we got a story here, but we got back.
Yeah, we got to evacuate. There's this fissure coming toward us.
It's the T-craft on top of the Daily Planet.
Yeah.
And so it's enough for 6 of them to get out.
Yeah.
To fly up.
So they go,
so
Jimmy's got the bulletin board.
McDonald.
Jimmy's got the bulletin board that he's just carrying with him where they had all their...
He had the bulletin board to show the whole story.
Yeah. With all the pictures, all the selfies, and all the zoom in of the backgrounds of the pictures.
Here, he's just sitting, he's smoking a cigar.
Mm-hmm. And he's classic Perry White fashion. Okay. And so, they all go get in the T-craft. Let's see, it's Lois, Jimmy, Perry, Kat, Steve, and then they have, who else? There was one more in there because there were 6. Who was the 6th one? Oh well. Anyway. So they so they get in the T-craft on the roof of the building, and Lois sort of takes off, but there's only 5 seats.
Yeah, there's only 5 seats.
So Steve's got to
Sorry, Shooter McGavin.
Yeah. So Steve's got to stay out. He's got to stay without a seat. And
he has fun.
Yeah. So meanwhile, while they're flying the T-craft, while Lois is flying the T-craft, then she's dictating to Jimmy what to write.
Yeah. He's got the laptop. He's just typing out the story she wants to say as she's flying the T-craft.
She's flying the T-craft because the controls are easy and intuitive. Which for some reason every time that I hear that, when Mr. Terrific says that the controls are easy and intuitive, I can't help but think of Maude in Big Lebowski talking about the doctor. He's very good and thorough.
He's good and thorough. Would you please drop your shorts, Mr. Lebowski? Oh no. She hit me here.
That's who the 6th person is. That's who the 6th person is. It's Too Excited Trampoline Guy.
Oh my. Okay. So they finally post a story.
Yeah, so once they have it all written out, then Jimmy hands Perry the laptop, and he reads through it and approves it. He's like, "Yep, post it."
City's ripping in half.
Mm-hmm. Buildings are ripping in half, and
trying to save people, and he saves a woman on the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, it's him and Mr. Terrific.
Mr. Terrific's really not doing a whole lot. He's just kind of standing up there in his little floating chair thingy, and sending his T-spheres around to try to do stuff. Meanwhile, Superman is actually physically getting down there and doing this. And
he's going to need to blow up a kaiju.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
yeah, so but yeah, Mr. Terrific, he can't do anything because the only way that he can stop it is to get onto one of Lex's computers and put in the code that Lex has at his command center. And he can't hack it from where he is.
All this, and some of them want to leave. He's like, "No, we're not leaving yet." So then we kind of cut. It's back to Johnport, right?
Well, no. First off, so Lex sends Ultraman out to fight Superman. We don't go to Johnport just yet.
Okay.
So Lex sends Ultraman out to fight Superman to distract him, and he's giving him all these commands that he was doing before when he was the Hammer of Berea. Right. Every other time that they fought, he's like telling him, and it was in the Pocket Universe, it was Ultraman that was fighting Superman in the river, not one of the Raptors, by the way, if
That's
I
right.
remember right.
Which will make sense soon.
Um, but yeah, so anyway, that's beside the point. So, and Lex has these two little drones that are following him around.
Right. That's right.
I guess there's probably more than two, but it really only shows two at a time. But they're following him around. That's what he's giving the commands to Ultraman through. And so, Ultraman's beating the crap out of Superman. And, Superman realizes, he realizes pretty quick that Lex is giving commands through these things, and so he can communicate with Lex through them too. Like they can talk back and forth. And so Lex starts taunting him about Jaranpur, and Superman is like, "Oh, don't worry about that. I called in some friends." And that's when it cuts to Jaranpur.
It cuts to there. This part here, right? So again, they're ready to attack, right? And the tanks are coming. This is very reminiscent of Infinity War.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With Groot and Thor and Rocket
just show up.
In the middle of the battle.
Yeah. So you get Green Lantern and Hot Girl.
Flag. He's still there.
Yeah, he's still there. He's still holding the flag, right? Against this army that's approaching. And so Green Lantern drops down right next to him because he's like, the kid's still saying Superman, 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 and Green Lantern drops down next to him. He's like,
the front line of the invasion's about to run over him.
Yeah. So he's like, "Sorry, kid, Superman couldn't make it, so you got an upgrade." And he starts walking around, and he's just sending, using his Green Lantern ring. He's making all these hands fly up and flip over the tanks, and then
giving him the finger.
He's giving him the finger.
These fists.
It's just like,
and then there's a finger.
Yep, there's fist and a finger, and then two fingers coming up. He's giving him the double deuce.
That's what I love about this scene. Like it turns in this serious invasion type of thing, and then it's just hilarious because he just had these giant glowing fingers.
Yes, these giant glowing middle fingers that are popping up. And then then we have this tank that is approaching and is about to fire, and all of a sudden we see back in the background we see Metamorpho, and he turns his arms into a giant sledgehammer and just smashes this tank.
Yep. And Hawkgirl's there, and they've joined in this fight against the invasion.
Yes. And then Hot Girl goes to the presidential palace and, picks up President Gurkha, or Gurkos, and, flies him out of the palace and over the city.
He's flying through the air, and he doesn't believe she's going to drop him.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I've done this before. Superman, you work with Superman. Superman never dropped me." She's like,
"He just put me against a cactus."
He just put me against a cactus. And she's like, "I'm not Superman," and drops him. As he's falling, it's following, the camera's following him down, and just as he's gonna hit the ground, it cuts to. Does it cut back to Superman at that point?
I thought it cut back to Lex Luthor.
Or does it cut back to Lex?
Like an
that's right. Yes, that's right. Yeah, you're dropping an Alka-Seltzer, and so as he's about to hit, then an Alka-Seltzer tablet drops into a glass of water.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was either Lex or somebody in Lex's group that was needing the Alka-Seltzer.
So they've evacuated most of one side of the city across the river. So they're safe temporarily, right? So that's when they take the fight to the baseball field.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's going to send
Yeah, so
the
he's
engineer,
sending the engineer to help
Ultraman
Ultraman.
fight.
Yeah. So Superman is fighting both of them, and the engineer, just like she did with Krypto earlier, throws a bunch of nanites at Superman. Because Lex gives the okay to fill his lungs with nanites, suffocate him, kill him, take him out. So she sends Matrix style, basically, like when Neo touches the mirror in the Matrix, and the mirror ends up going down his throat. That's what these nanites reminded me of. Because they're kind of going up his body, and
they're going up and then down,
trying to go down his throat, and then and so he's reaching up trying to pull him off his face,
he's trying to
down
stop
there,
him.
But there's just too many of them, and it ends up completely covering his head, just like it did with Krypto earlier, to where he can't breathe. And one of Lex's assistant people is like, well, can't he hold his breath for over an hour? And they're like, not if he didn't take a breath.
Yeah.
Not if he doesn't have any air in his lungs. And so then, we got Ultraman and the engineer, basically bum rush him. And they're, he's trying to fight them while he can't see or hear or anything or breathe.
Doesn't have any ability at the moment, really.
Because then it shows, the nanites are going and getting into his eyes, and one of Lex's people says like they've attached the optic nerve now, so his vision and his sight and X-ray vision should be nullified now. So, Superman, he realizes that he doesn't really have much hope right now. So he takes off. He just flies straight up into the air.
Yeah.
Just flies up fast. He's got these nanites covering his head like a helmet and a mask. And, Lex is like, what's he doing? He's like, is he trying to use friction to get the nanites off? And there's too many of them. It's not going to work. So Ultraman and the engineer fly up after him. They get to him, and Lex gives the order to cover him in nanites. Try to stop him from doing this, to get more nanites on him so that he can't use friction to get rid of him. So they both grab him. They both grab Superman, and the engineer's pumping more nanites onto him. And so now he's basically encased in nanites completely.
Yeah.
Like in a cocoon of nanites. And he just keeps on flying up. And then when he gets as high as he's going to get, he turns around and starts flying straight down as fast as he can.
Yep.
And Lex realizes what he's trying to do. And so he tells he tells the engineer and Ultraman, disengage. He's the only one that's protected because he's encased in nanites.
Yeah.
But they don't let go, and he just slams into the ground, into the fissure.
Into the fissure.
And it knocks out the engineer, and it sort of sends Ultraman flying. And so, because the engineer is now unconscious, she can't control the nanites that are all over Superman. So, they start falling off of him, and he's getting out of the crater that he just made, and he's like coughing, trying to pull the nanites out of his throat, and coughing and all this, and finally he can breathe again. So he gets up. They scan the engineer. They're like, her heart's still beating, but she's unconscious. So Superman kind of stands up, dusts himself off, and Ultraman stands up, and his mask that he's been wearing the whole movie is now torn.
Yep.
And he reaches up and takes it off. And whose face is under that mask? It's
Christopher Reeve.
No. David Cornsweet.
Oh.
It turns out.
What?
It turns out that he's a clone.
The clone.
Of Superman. That is how Lex was able to get into the fortress. Because he had his DNA. Because he had a clone of him.
That's how he knows all Superman's moves.
That's how he knows all of Superman's moves. Because he studied him and he has been able to determine the best way to beat him, the best moves to use. And he explains to Superman that he's a clone, but he may be even dumber than you.
Because remember, clones are a copy of something.
And so that's why
Multiplicity goes over this.
But it makes it, yes. Multiplicity goes over this. Maybe we should do Multiplicity sometime.
Might.
I don't know.
That'd be a good one. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, he's explaining to Superman that he has he's dumber. He's really dumb, but it makes him easy to control. So he's able to give him commands and he follows them. And so if you know anything about Ultraman in the comics, right? So Ultraman is the Superman of Earth 3 in the comics. And he's basically an evil Superman.
Right.
And now in this movie, they kind of borrow that, but with it being a clone, it's more of Bizarro. Because you have Bizarro in the comics who's a clone of Superman, but he's a sort of a messed up clone. So he's just really dumb. He does the opposite of what Superman does, things like that. So they kind of combine those two characters, the Ultraman of the comics and Bizarro, into this version of Ultraman. Which is a very James Gunn thing to do.
It is.
And so this is where, Superman realizes that these drones that are flying around, that have been following them around, is how he's giving the orders to Ultraman.
Yeah, the attack mode of Ultraman.
So, Ultraman is, they're fighting some more, and Ultraman has taken out Mr. Terrific's flying chair. So Terrific's on the ground. And he, Lex is giving these commands, and, he's beating the crap out of Superman, and he's got Superman on his back, and he's like blasting him with his heat vision right into his eyes. And you think that he's gonna kill Superman. But no. Superman starts to smile.
One more trick up his...
Because this whole time, when it was revealed that Lex is giving orders to Ultraman, then he tells Superman brain beats brawn.
Brain beats brawn. That's right.
And so as Superman is laying there on his back with Ultraman on him, blasting him with heat vision, then Superman just starts to smile. And Lex is like, "What are you smiling at?" He's like, "Brain beats brawn."
Right.
And then he whistles.
And Crypto shows up.
And Crypto comes flying in, and Mr. Terrific is surprised. He's like, "You brought the dog?" And Superman's like, "I didn't want him to kill my parents' cows."
Which seemed like a distinct possibility earlier.
Yes. So, yeah, so Crypto shows up, and, first he goes and he tackles Ultraman. Gets him off of Superman. And then before Ultraman can attack again, then he tells Crypto to get the toy. And so Crypto goes after the drones. Takes all the drones out. So that way Lex has no way to control Ultraman. And Superman turns the tide of the fight. And he starts beating the crap out of Ultraman.
She does.
And now, at this point, the fissure has caused a black hole to form.
Yes.
And so it's starting to suck things in. And Ultraman gets sucked into the black hole.
Yes, he does, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Ultraman gets sucked into the black hole. And then Superman flies up and takes well, Superman, I love this. So Mr. Terrific has been bad-mouthing this dog the whole time, right?
Yes. The entire movie. Yeah.
So I love this because now they're headed toward Lex's command center. And Superman's flying. And Mr. Terrific says he doesn't have his flying chair anymore. He's riding on Krypto's back. He's just got his arms around Krypto's neck and he's riding on his back. So
good for Krypto to be able to handle that.
Yeah.
You know?
So they get to the command center. You know, they bust in there. Krypto goes and attacks Lex. You know, Mr. Terrific goes and gets on the computer so he can find the code and stop the fissure.
And you know, at this point, like Lex's people, like some of them, the guys are like, we should just close this. And Lex is like, no.
Yeah.
Once they get up there, they are more than happy to allow Mr. Terrific to close it.
Yeah. And so then, while Mr. Terrific is, closing the fissure, then Superman starts lecturing Lex. Lex starts yelling at him and all this, and Superman's like, no, I'm just as human as anybody else is. My humanity comes from, from Earth. It comes from being here. And, I care about people. I'm not some evil ruler that, is going to take over and all this. And it's like your hatred spawns from jealousy. And Lex is like, of course it does. I know it does. All these people, Einstein, Galileo, anytime that I hear these people's names, in the same sentence as mine, I feel that taste of vomit in the back of my throat. But he's like, but at least Galileo did something with his life. At least he did something. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to rid the world of you.
He is the greatest criminal mastermind.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he is. And so Superman's like, no, what makes what makes me who I am is my humanity. What makes me care about the people of this world is my humanity. And one day I hope that you can care too. Something along those lines.
Yeah, that's roughly what he says.
And at this point, we get breaking news. We get Michael Ian Black again talking about Lex Luthor. Now he's been on this. He's been a guest on this show several times.
How could I have been so wrong?
But how could I have been so wrong? And
also now the table to change. Everyone's angry at Lex.
Mm-hmm. Yep, because Lex's true his true plan has come to light, and it's become known to the world that he's not the shining beacon that everybody thought he was.
He presented himself as.
because he had a very, very good, popularity rating with, everybody. Everybody loved Lex.
Oh, he did. Absolutely, yes.
Because all of his nefarious deeds were hidden. But now they've all been brought to light.
Not now.
And so I love this too.
He's going to jail.
I love this too, because as Lex is seeing all this on the TV, and he's realizing that he's lost.
Mm-hmm.
You start to see a tear form in his eyes.
Yes.
As it all hits him. He has a real reaction to it.
Does. He really does.
And so so Lex is arrested. And he's
all those other people.
He's put in they put him in a Humvee, and they tell him, take this guy to Belle Reve. So for those who don't know what Belle Reve is the mental institution in the DC universe. One of the mental institutions.
Yeah. I mean, Arkham's one also.
But Belle Reve is the one that's with Superman.
Superman purposes, it's Belle Reve.
Yeah. So, Belle Reve is the one around Metropolis. Arkham is in Gotham. But
correct.
But yeah, so once Lex gets taken off in the Humvee, then Superman goes over to Lois and Perry and Jimmy and Too Excited Trampoline Guy.
They've landed the T-Craft. It's
yes.
On the ground there.
And he goes and he's talking to Lois. He's like, hey, so I thought I'd give you an interview. And she's like, oh, great. How about over here? And they walk off into a building. They go inside this building, and they turn a corner, and once they notice that nobody's around, they start kissing, and then start floating up in the air.
Uh-huh. Imagery.
Mm-hmm.
Rockets in flight.
Pew! Afternoon delight.
This cuts to Perry. He looks at Jimmy. He's like, how long they been hooking up?
He's like, I think 3 months. Think about 3 months. Because earlier in Lois's kitchen, she mentioned they've been together for 3 months. But yeah, I love Perry's reaction. He's like, how long have they been hooking up? It was clearly not an interview they were going in there for.
No, it is afternoon delight.
Yes. So. So it seems as though Lois and Clark have mended their relationship.
Yes. We cut back to the fortress.
Yes, we cut back to the fortress. Superman, flies back to the fortress, and he walks in, and there's 4 to greet him. 4 and the other robots have been repaired, and they are in the process of repairing the fortress. And 4, greets him, and they're talking about how 4 would like a name.
Yes, 4 would like a name.
Superman's like, well, 4 is a name. And 4 is like, yeah, it is, but so is Gary. So, because Superman is, still injured from his recent fight, they all crowd around him and they put him in his chair. And
his son.
And he's like,
therapy.
And so 4 is like, would you like me to put the footage on of your parents?
Yes.
He finds it soothing. He says that he finds it soothing. And then he's like, yes, Gary, put it on.
And this time it's not.
This time, it's not the message from his
Biological
Kryptonian parents. It's old home movies, old home videos from growing up with the Kents.
Smallville home videos. Now, did his parents take, like, Martha and Jonathan take these videos? Were the robots taking these videos?
Wait, no, before the videos, because that's kind of the last thing in there. So before they put him in the chair, so he gets gets greeted by
right,
four, and then you hear a crash from another area of the fortress, and Supergirl comes walking out, drunk off her ass.
She's going to pick up her dog.
Yes, a drunk Supergirl comes in, asks, where's my dog? And we also missed the part. Crap. This is the problem with doing like brand new movies. There's like important stuff that we miss. When Superman went to Lois's apartment, and there's the big thing outside that's there, and
yes,
yeah, and you can see the Justice Gang out there fighting it, and Lois comes up and she's like, "Were you just fighting that?" He's like, "Oh no, that's just a dimensional imp. They got it covered." That's a clear nod to Mr. Mxyzptlk, which, by the way, I'm going to get on my soapbox here for just a minute. A very common way that people pronounce his name is Mxyzptlk. That is not the correct pronunciation. It's Mxyzptlk. The Superman the Animated Series actually did a very good way to say it phonetically. In the episode where he appears, he tells Superman what his name is, and Superman's confused, and he's like, "Mix," and he turns himself into a mixer, and he's like, "Yes," and he writes "yes" like on a chalkboard. Spit, and he spits at Superman's face, and then lick, and then licks Superman's face. Mix, yes, spit, lick. Mxyzptlk. And the way that it's spelled, it's not Mxyzptlk. So stop calling it Mxyzptlk, people. Anyway, my rant is done. But anyway, that was when.
That's before he turned himself in.
That was before he turned himself in. Yeah, because he already attacked. Yes, that was before he turned himself in because he didn't have the dog. And yeah, that was also when she's like, "You have a dog?" It's like, it's more of a foster situation.
Right. And then we find out he's fostering the dog for him.
Yes. So now we're back at the fortress, and a drunk Supergirl walks in. She's asking where her dog is. And Four's like, "You have to do... I don't like her partying." Yeah, and as like, Superman's getting into his chair,
she likes to get drunk, as she can only be with a yellow sun.
Yeah, so it's like as Superman's sitting in the chair, then as he's climbing up in there, then he's like, "Yeah, she goes partying on other planets that have red suns because of our metabolism, we can't get drunk under a yellow sun."
Yeah,
and Ford's like, "Well, if I were you, I'd do something about her partying." And then that's when he's like, "Would you like me to put the footage on of your parents?" And he's like, "Yes, Gary, yes. Put it on." And then then Gary looks over at the other robots. He's like, he finds it soothing. And that's where the old home videos pop up they just surround him.
Who took the videos? Were they just home videos? Or somehow it just recorded?
I don't know.
Somehow.
But
it's reading his mind telepathically.
Maybe.
Presenting the...
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know Kryptonian tech. But yeah, so then it shows him, while they're, fixing up his wounds, he's just sort of watching these old home videos, these old home movies. And he smiles and
he's happy. And that's what's defined him. He doesn't need the other.
No.
And it cuts to the credits. And it finishes with the Teddy Bear song "Punk Rocker."
Mm-hmm.
Iggy Pop.
Yep.
Which is perfect because they talked about punk rock.
Yep. And then then there's a mid-credit scene.
Well, before we get the mid credits, I like how the credit scene is inspired by
Yes.
Superman and Superman 2
Yes.
sequences from the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
It's
Absolutely.
copied off of that. It's got the theme of you got the Iggy Pop song, you got the punk rocker song going on, but you still kind of have a little bit of that theme going on in the background. And that finishes, and then we get the mid credit scene.
Yeah. And then then the mid credit scene is Superman. It's the basically the first promotional photo or a version of it, a version of the first promotional photo where he had Superman and Krypto sitting on the moon looking at Earth. But this is just a different variation of that where it's actually video. It's not just a still shot, but you have Superman sitting on the moon looking at Earth, and Krypto is sort of on his lap giving him a hug. He's got his front legs up around his neck on his shoulders. And he's kind of just sitting there just holding Krypto. And then it continues with the credits. And then after the credits, there's a post-credit scene. And this, rather than doing what Marvel does with, all their movies where most of the post-credit scenes actually set up either the next movie or a future movie, James Gunn has actually given a reason why he didn't do that in here, because a lot of those post-credit scenes on the MCU side ended up going unanswered because they decided to scrap the projects that they were supposed to be referencing. So this one is just Superman and Mr. Terrific are standing next to a building that when the fissure closed, there's this fissure in the building.
Yep.
And I saw this, and the first thing I thought of when they're standing there, they're just staring at this building. And all I could see was Superman saying, "This fissure wasn't here before." But they're just standing there. They're staring at this thing. And Superman's like, well, it's kind of off. Because it is. The two halves of the building aren't lined up right. They're a couple inches off. And Mr. Terrific's like, so what? You want me to take it apart and put it back together again? It's like, I can't believe you. We close this thing, and now he just storms off, kicks a rock on his way out. And then Superman's like, why do I do that? I can be such a jerk sometimes.
But it's true. We talked about this with Face Off, right? How do you put the face completely back on the correct way again?
Exactly.
This building's been ripped in two.
Building has been ripped in half.
It's ripped in two. Pieces of it fall off.
Yeah.
That are going to shatter into pieces that you can't put back together.
And it's not going to be able to line up perfectly when you put it back together. So it's, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so Mr. Terrific storms off. And then, yeah, that's the movie.
That's the last of the movie.
Yep, that's the last of the movie.
That's James Gunn's Superman.
Yes.
Which we both really enjoyed.
Yes. I love this movie. It was fantastic. I mean, would I put it above the Christopher Reeve Supermans? No. I no.
But it doesn't need to be above that.
It doesn't need to be above that. It's its own thing. It's a great movie.
I just feel like there's so few just really fun summer movies anymore. And this fits it really well.
Absolutely. And one of the things I love about this movie is it put the hope back in Superman.
Yes.
The Zack Snyder Superman was way too dark. Superman is not a dark character.
No.
He's a hopeful character. He's a
And
beacon of hope, a symbol of hope.
I think we've mistaken what we think a dark story has to look like, feel like.
Yeah, I mean, this one had dark elements in it. It had the whole scene with Lex and Molly.
Again, we talked about like last week with the Donner cut. Like Lester's version was too comedic, too lighthearted.
Yeah,
Like 2 and 2 was able to make a balance of like, okay, let's turn down some of the cheese and still have a good movie
yeah,
that's not still super serious.
yeah. I mean, this movie, it had its light moments, it had its heavy moments. But it was a good balance.
Yeah,
of it all. I think it was an excellent, first movie in the DCU.
I would be happy to see this again soon.
Me too.
I know
And
you've seen it twice.
yeah,
I've seen it once, and yeah, it'd be fun to watch again. To again be able to kind of take off that first time filter and then really dig into it again.
yes. And
So
David Cornsweet has already signed on for a sequel.
great, excellent.
So, I mean, a sequel hasn't been greenlit that I know of, but he is under contract for a sequel.
I'd imagine it would happen soon.
I would imagine too. Or even if there's not another Superman movie, I'm sure he's going to show up in other areas of the DCU. But
Yes,
David Cornsweet, excellent Superman. He is an excellent Superman. Nicholas Hoult, excellent Lex
excellent.
Luthor.
Like
Fantastic Lex Luthor. I want to see more of both of those characters, of all the characters in this movie, really.
Yeah, I'm actually interested to see like how does Lex escape?
Yeah.
You can't keep him imprisoned. How does he get out?
I mean,
Does he again?
The chemistry between everybody in this movie is just great.
Oh yeah, you can tell they enjoyed filming this as a whole.
Yeah. I mean, Nathan Fillion played Green Lantern in the only way that, in a way that only Nathan Fillion could play him. He was perfectly cast for that.
He was. I'm glad we have another Nathan Fillion movie.
Yeah, me too.
He has more than one brief scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's excellent movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend going and seeing it. I mean, it borrows from the comics, it borrows from the animated series, it borrows from previous movies. It just takes inspiration from all areas of Superman lore.
Yeah, no, it really digs deep into that lore, and that's one of the great things about it.
And, it includes some of the the lesser known characters,
Not Space
some
Cabbie
of the
yet.
lesser represented characters. I'm still waiting for Space Cabbie. Space Cabbie is my all-time favorite comic book character. If you don't know who Space Cabbie is, look him up. He's great. But yeah, I'm still waiting for him to show up in the DCU. I was actually reading an article the other day about, there's one little known character that that's James Gunn's favorite that, he's going to put in the DCU at some point. That he said, if there's one character that I can put in there, it's going to be this guy, this person. And I started reading the article hoping that he was going to say Space Cabbie. But he was talking about Batmite.
Yeah.
Another fifth dimensional imp, just like Mr. Mxyzptlk. But Batmite wears a Batman suit. But yeah, so that is the
That is
new Superman movie.
Superman.
I'm sure we missed a lot
We
in our
probably did,
discussion.
but oh well.
But it's a brand new movie, so we're bound to miss some things and get some things out of order and all that. So,
We went on for 3 hours about this for a 2 hour movie.
mm-hmm.
Or we missed something.
Yeah.
So
anyway, is there anything else you wanted to mention? I mean, we already talked about the music a bit. You know, it was
good.
It was a great score.
It was.
But yeah, so if you want to, if you like what you're hearing and you want to experience more of what we have to offer, go ahead and check us out on our social media. We are on Facebook and Instagram and Threads. That is Rob and Tony's Cinematic Adventure. The and is spelled out A&D. It's not an ampersand like it is in the name of the podcast. We are also on X or Twitter. That is R&T Cinematic. And if you want to check out some of our reviews on various movies, some we've done on the podcast, some we haven't done, some we will do, some we won't do, then go check out our Letterboxd. That is Cine Adventure or Cine Adventure, CINE Adventure. And you can also just send us an email. What did you think of Superman? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you kind of in the middle? You know, what did you think? Was it worth the wait? Did it live up to the hype for you? You know, we want to hear from you. You can email us at robandtonycinematicadventure@gmail.com. Once again, the and is spelled out A&D. It's not an ampersand like it is in the name of the podcast. But yeah, we want to hear from you. What are some movies you think we should cover? Do you think we should cover some more Superman movies? Do you think that we should cover Man of Steel one of these days, just to try to give it a fair shake? You know? Do you think we should cover Superman 3 or 4? Yeah, or any other movies that you think we should do? Just let us know. But yeah, if you like what you're hearing, then go to our social media, give us a like and a follow. Go to your favorite podcasting app, wherever you're listening to us. Hit that subscribe button, give us a good rating, a good review. That's how we move up in the standings and the search and the recommendations, all that stuff. And, you know, leave a good comment. We love hearing from you. And, yeah, so next week, we are going to be talking about some more summer blockbusters. Well, another summer blockbuster. This time we're shifting gears just a little bit, you know, because we like to include as many different genres as we can in our summer blockbusters. I think it's
appropriate. We've had a lot of action movies this summer, and now I've had a couple superhero movies. We've had a couple war movies, but I think, you know, the family films are also summer blockbusters.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So we are going to be doing a more of a family-oriented summer blockbuster for our next one. What movie are we doing, Tony?
We are doing the Rick Moranis classic, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, from 1989. And if you're a older millennial, you probably fondly remember this movie.
I know I do. I grew up watching this movie when I was little. I have not seen it in probably close to 30 years.
I look forward to how you think about this, because I've actually seen it within the last 2 years.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I mean, I remember this movie fondly. Just because it's been almost 30 years since I've seen it doesn't mean I don't remember it.
I think that's good, because there are certain summer, like some blockbuster type movies you remember as a kid that you go for a long time without seeing. And it's good to come back to them.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to watching this one again and talking about it. Yeah. So join us next time for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.